This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
Welcome to The Gaming Outsider On Fire Edition with your host, Scott Clark.
Happy spooky season, Go community. On this week's episode, Zack and CB are back to join Alyssa and I, and we're all sharing obscure games that we believe everyone should play. We'll also share picks from the community. In news, there's unfortunately more bad news in the world of layoffs at video game companies specifically, but Microsoft is getting very close to closing the deal on its Activision Blizzard deal. You'll also hear my impressions of Assassin's Creed Mirage as well as CB's, and Zack's impressions of a game called El Paso Elsewhere, which reminds me an awful lot of Max Payne. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Sunday, October 8th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Yeehaw himself, Zack Parkerson.
Dude, I'm alive. Last week was pretty touch and go. So it's pretty nice to be here.
Yeah, for those that weren't, I can't remember if we even had you. No, you weren't at all. But last week we started to record the podcast, or actually right before we started, Zack was here, and he's like, "Guys, I got to sit out. I feel awful."
Well, first I was trying to tough it out. Within 15 minutes into talking to you guys, like, well, this is not going to work.
Well, I am glad you're back, man. I've missed you. It's been too long, but I'm really excited because I get to see you in person in like 6 days, so that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, only a few days by the time people are listening to this.
I know, it's going to be awesome. Also joining us, Miss Alyssa White. How are you doing?
I'm okay, but sadly you guys will not get to see my beautiful face in person this week.
No, I'm really... We had a bunch of people that canceled their R2V2 ticket purchases because you're not going to be there, so...
I doubt that.
I'm totally messing. But I'm genuinely bummed because I was looking forward to seeing you in person. I've never gotten to hug you.
I know.
And now you've robbed me of that opportunity, but I understand. I do understand.
We'll make it happen one day.
Also joining us, Mr. Everything is Permitted in Starfield, Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up?
Yeah, see, he misses Zack, but he never misses me.
Oh,
I just saw you.
He sees you in life all the time.
I literally just saw you an hour ago.
I know, but you never miss me.
How could you never give him a chance?
What are you talking about? I just get random text messages from him, be like, "Hey, you alive?"
Yeah,
I'm alive. Just
hey, no one asked me that, so I mean, that's.
I don't
fair.
have. Well, actually, yeah, I do have your phone number.
Yeah, you do.
I'm just gonna have to start sending you pictures of Richard Nixon.
Oh,
what?
So it's an unsolicited dick pic.
Yeah, I got it.
Anyway, can you guys believe it? This is the last episode before, well, we're going to be doing our video game convention. So probably a lot of
we
people
doing one of those? I haven't heard.
We're doing one of those, yes. So R2V2 is going to be on the 14th. That is just a few short days away. John St. John's going to be there. It's going to be awesome. Roger Sharp is possibly going to make an appearance. And I feel like I need to clarify because I did not realize this, but there is a guy on Critical Role by the name of Roger Sharp. It is not that Roger Sharp. I've had a couple people that I've gone into the local GameStops where they've let us put out some flyers for the event, and they're like, "I heard you guys got a guy from Critical Role on your podcast." No, Roger Sharp is a pinball guy. He's the guy that made pinball or convinced the state of New York to legalize pinball. So I want to be clear,
way cooler than playing D&D on a YouTube channel.
I agree, but that's also me. But he's people know the other Roger Sharp way more. So
you should just not correct them.
No, because I don't want them to show up and pay their entry fee and then be disappointed.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he did something that involved like Critical Role somewhere.
Maybe. Oh, I haven't even shared the best part with you guys because I was waiting until we recorded to tell this. But we just found out today. So some of our vendors are dropping off their games for sale at the Lyran Club, where it's going to be held on Friday night. And since there's no security at the venue and there's no like alarm systems and everything, we're a little nervous about having things kept over there overnight on that side of town. So CB has decided he's going to be staying the night at the Lyran Club the night before just to kind of make sure that everything is okay. So he mentioned to me today and he said, "What if we just like, because Brandon Smith is actually staying at my house as well. He's the guy that's showing off Final Fantasy Renaissance. He's like, what if you and Brandon just came down and crashed here as well, and we just kind of like stayed up all night and played video games and got some air mattresses and crashed here and then woke up and started working the next morning." And I was like, I think that sounds amazing, but I don't know if Brandon's going to be down with that. I texted Brandon on the way home from the Labyrinth Club today, and he is 100% in.
See, I told you, man. Like, I have good ideas, and you're like, that sounds dumb.
I thought it was a good idea. I was leery about convincing another 30, 40-year-old guy to come sleep on the floor at the Labyrinth Club.
Let's have a video game convention. That's dumb. Nobody's going to do that. Oh, this is awesome.
I'd never
Let's have a sleep over. That's dumb.
I never once said it was dumb. I think it's an awesome idea. So yeah, it's going to be like old school sleepover style. We're going to just crash at the Labyrinth Club, stay up all night drinking Mountain Dew.
Dude, I found that
Doritos.
He-Man tent earlier today. We can all sleep in the He-Man tent.
The He-Man tent like won't fit Jameson, your 6-year-old.
Oh, come on. We'll snuggle.
Anyway, I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's going to be fun just to kind of hang out, stay up all night, playing video games, drinking some sodas, drinking some beers, and having a good time. So.
Sodas.
Some sodas, yeah. It'll be awesome, but I hope everybody will come out. Ticket sales are starting to come in, and we actually met one of the vendors today. I should mention what was his name? Carl Baird, one of our vendors, stopped by the venue today to kind of take a peek at it.
Nice guy,
genuinely the nicest guy. He's just a very cool guy.
He let me borrow a TV.
Yeah, he's cool. So we got.
Did we get a discount for wearing our sweet Gaming Outsider shirts? You know.
A discount on your free entry into game?
No, to the vendors, man. Come on.
The vendors?
Yeah.
But you will have to take that up with them.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hey, can I get this for $5? I don't know. Do you know who I am?
Right.
Sir,
look at my shirt.
That's
I need my
$500
shirt, by the way, Scott.
You what's that?
I need my shirt.
Your shirt is paid for. Zach, I think you said yours is paid for as well, right?
It is, yes.
So I just need to go pick that up.
It was funny when I called because I was like, hey, I needed to pay for a shirt with phone. She's like, is this one of the gaming ones?
That's what she said to me.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's for those that don't have a little inside baseball. We all have the same matching shirts at R2V2, and we ordered them from a place in town called Embroid This. And Zack needed a new one. Alyssa needed one at all. And we had a bunch ordered. So there was like 9 or 10 of them that were ordered, and they had to call and pay for their own shirts individually. That's what
I just thought of another good idea, Scott. We should take photos in the shirt and put them online.
That's
okay.
Is that the end of your big idea?
No. I don't think you're catching my drift.
Like just the shirts? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just the shirts.
Going to start an OnlyFans? Is that what you're?
It's a Gaming Outsider calendar. we'd all just take a pose just with a shirt.
Everyone knows I will do it.
Whoa!
She's like,
hey, it's a fact.
Yes.
What, OnlyFans?
No, the shirt picture.
Oh, okay. I was
Not only.
I was not sure where I was
and
going. Anyway,
Scott's brain has deep.
So this is supposed to be
This
an
is
all
what
all
happens
ages
when there's one
podcast?
female among a
Only
group
pants.
of 4
Only
males.
pants.
3
Only
males. There are
pants.
4 of us.
No, don't
Yeah.
put this on us. Okay, you wanted us all to come to Huntsville so you could stay the night with 3 dudes. Okay,
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't care at all.
it's a
No,
true
I'm
story.
saying.
It's a true story. Yeah, Alyssa invited us all since she couldn't come up here. She invited us
Yeah.
all to get an Airbnb down in Alabama.
Hey,
Hey, I'm deadly serious.
as long as
I
mom's
you.
making biscuits and gravy, I'm down.
Yeah.
Hey, they will. They will.
All right. Before we get too down the rabbit hole here, let's talk about some of the
I
games
don't know
we've
if
been
we
catching
can crawl
up on.
back out, man.
CV,
We're
what have
in.
you been catching up on?
Well, other than the new game that I've been playing, I mean, come on, I only play Starfield now. It is my life.
His new personality.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
It is.
I can't remember. Have you rolled credits?
No, I don't want to roll credits. I just
We'll
want
never
to
do it.
I just want to explore.
Okay.
And
All right.
man, I have too many ships now. I just keep stealing ships.
Do you have a flotilla? Do you have enough to constitute a
I have.
flotilla?
I've maxed. Oh, I have 6. You can only have 6 ships, so I'm just
Ugh,
like,
come on,
get
Todd.
rid of the chunky ship and get a better ship, and then
Ooh.
just go smash more pirates.
Any other cool stories, like just story beats that happen, or just random happenings? I keep hearing stories online of people saying like this happened while I was roaming through space and we had this conversation, and
I just like the fact that you'll like land on a random planet and you'll hear like the engines of a ship just come over
Mhm.
like where you're standing. You're like, oh, thank you for landing here. I'm gonna steal your ship. That's really all I care about. Like, I haven't done a mission in a while. It's literally just been raiding and pillaging, stealing and killing.
Yeah, I miss the days when I had time to do that. I feel like whenever I sit down, I feel like I need to accomplish something.
That's right. It's your guilt factor, Scott. You just
Okay,
need to let it go.
Let me ask you this, because I heard somebody on a podcast talking about it. I want to know if you've discovered this. Have you ever come across a ship that randomly invited you to come to a party?
I believe that's one of the backgrounds.
Backgrounds?
Like, there's the different like story beat backgrounds that you can pick.
Okay.
I think that's because of one of those. But I did run into a random space tourism that wanted to ask me questions about what it's like to be a captain.
I actually heard about that, and somebody else said that they just started answering everything really
Strangely,
aggressively.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, that's enough questions for the day, and then like just
need to
hyperspaced
go.
out or whatever. Yeah, I thought that was kind of
There was a female that kept saying, do you have somebody at like every planet that you stop at? And I'm like, yes, I do. It's
Did
just
you
like,
tell her that they can burn the land to boil the sea, but they'll never take the sky from you?
no,
I love it.
I wish I could.
Is that a Serenity reference?
It was,
Firefly.
yeah.
Firefly Serenity,
Firefly.
yeah.
But it's a political statement as well.
Zach, what about you? Anything else you've been catching up on?
Well, yeah. Last week I was going to talk to you guys before I died. That I beat Sea of Stars.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I did so much. I caught every species of fish. I fully built up the town. I beat every wheels champion in the realm.
You did tell me that part.
And so I really got into Sea of Stars. And it's that because I don't play a lot of Xbox, but that rare achievement notification,
Mhm.
it's very satisfying.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
I keep getting it too.
The
As well.
diamond ding.
I should shut up.
Yeah, well, and they also tell you the percentage and everything, like right there on
Yeah.
the screen. So you're like, man, I am special. It's pretty cool. But anyway, the game itself, great. I actually really like the ending. I know there is an alternate or true ending, and I read up on what that is, and I think it would really ruin some of the best plot beats for me. But yeah, I think the game's really great, and everyone should check it out. I do think the story is probably the weakest part, which is unusual for an RPG, especially a JRPG. That's usually where the story is usually the standout, but here it is just the nonstop, endlessly fun gameplay.
It is fun
Something
and
new
just
is-
gorgeous.
Mhm.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the sound, it just. I'm surprised because the story was grabbing me right away, so it's a bummer to hear that it doesn't it doesn't get even better as you go through. But
Well,
it is what it is.
So there are some messenger references that I had to look up because it meant nothing to me, but they do it in kind of a ham-fisted way where major characters will just leave the story random, their arcs are not concluded because they are to be concluded in the messenger,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
and I think that's a failing personally.
Hmm.
Because if you're going to do that, you should do it with a side character, right? Not like somebody who's it's difficult to talk about without spoilers, but I
Yeah.
think the way they connect it to the messenger gets in Sea of Stars' own way. But I did actually really like it by the end, and I really liked the ending itself.
Now, are you going to? Has the messenger been ruined for you? Because I know you said you went online to look into it a little bit.
No, I still want to play the messenger for sure.
But I mean, do you know what makes the messenger special?
I mean, are you talking about what's in all of the trailers?
I don't remember what's in all the trailers. I just know that there was a fun surprise in that game.
Are you talking about going from 8-bit to 16-bit?
Yeah, okay, that was part of it.
Well,
but-
that is all of the marketing.
Oh, is it okay? I didn't see the marketing. That felt like it would have been a really fun surprise if the game were marketed as an 8-bit game, and then halfway through there's a surprise that it turns to this. But
Well, I mean,
that's
it's just-
actually not the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's just a graphical change, right? Or is there more to it?
Yeah. No, I mean the reason I wanted you to play it was less about that and more about just some of the fun dialogue that you have. It's actually not even dialogue because it's just the character talking, but the shopkeeper
Oh yeah. Shopkeeper.
has a really fun thing that he does that I think you would appreciate. So,
Well, yeah. No, and for the right, I do think Sea of Stars' story is solid or good. It's just not it's the weakest part of an otherwise
Mhm.
great game.
gotcha. Well, hey, to be the weakest part of a really great game,
Right.
that's not a terrible thing to say.
Absolutely. Then I also, because Alan Wake 2 is coming out, guys, I played through Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is like 3 hours long. I forgot it was that short. A little time loop. You guys remember this game, like Xbox Live Arcade game?
Yep.
Yeah, it
It
was actually standalone, wasn't it? You didn't even have to have the base game, if I remember correctly.
Right. This was it.
Yeah.
It was an arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's just like a downloadable little thing. It's just Alan fighting his way through the dark place, But I forgot that this standalone game has way more. It has like 6 times the weapon variety as the base game does.
Really?
Like Alan Wake itself doesn't have a single automatic weapon, and then there's like 4 automatic weapons in Alan Wake's American Nightmare.
Interesting.
There's a nail gun you can use, for God's sake. But yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a little time loop story, but I had to play it to refresh what's up with Mr. Scratch.
Is that available in the remake? Like, did they put that in the remake version?
It is strangely not in the remaster, no.
Huh.
But I assume because the plot is he's trying to write a story to get himself out of the dark place, and as you could tell by Alan Wake 2, it fails by the end of this game. So it's not really essential, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then finally, last thing, because all this Assassin's Creed Mirage hype, man, I was getting a little excited, but then you're teleporting around, you're flying eagles around. It's like, this is not classic Assassin's Creed. So I booted up classic Assassin's Creed.
Like Assassin's Creed 1?
The very first game.
Oh my goodness, I'm really curious to hear how that went.
Dude, it's great.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many interesting choices they make, like the cutscene. None of the cutscenes have like they're not shot with camera angles. It's always from Altair's perspective. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the camera's always behind his back. You can like cut to different angles, but it's always focused on Altair. It's just an interesting style. And then, yeah, of course, the core gameplay loop of getting into a town, doing those viewpoints, although they obviously ruined Ubisoft. But here they were great. And then having to pickpocket guys for information to find out where the archers are, or listen in on guys and hear there's a group of monks that are scheduled to come in, so you can go and sneak in with them or whatever. It's so cool scoping out your target and then killing them stealthily. The quiet in, loud out of early Assassin's Creeds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And those amazing memory corridor conversations where they just have this philosophical debate, Altair and his target. It's just really great stuff. Now, to your point, Scott, there are some frustrations, mainly to do with if you're detected, it goes into your health bar turns yellow and it keeps blinking and it makes this loud, annoying noise, and you can't make it go away unless you get to a hiding spot, and then they freeze you in the hiding spot for 10 seconds while you wait for the alarm to go away. You're not allowed to get out until the alarm's away.
Oh, weird.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it is very strange, and it gets so I've only killed 4 of the 9 targets so far, because it turns out if you're just going from kill to kill, this game's actually pretty short. But excuse me, sorry, but they keep, as the cities get more alerted to the fact there's an assassin around, they have more guards patrolling the rooftop, so you're basically just constantly being chased, and it is kind of frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes a game where the parkour is so fun, and in the early Assassin's Creed it really was fun because you actually had to look for handholds and stuff. You couldn't just hold up on the joystick.
Right.
But with all
those towers actually felt like mini puzzles. You had to figure out the way to get up there.
Exactly what they are. But in the first Assassin's Creed, every building's almost a puzzle, because you can often go straight up, but not all the time. It's a lot of fun. But my point is that with all these guards and getting chased, it's actually easier to just run through the streets, and that sucks.
Yeah, because it's in later ones, it's always easier to get to the rooftops because it's faster.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And for so much of the game, they don't give you throwing knives or any kind of long distance option, and then when they do, they only give you 5 at a time. You can only give 5 knives.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of frustrating in that way. But I do really like the story. I love that all the Abstergo stuff in this game is so great. All that,
yes.
Back when Desmond was in these games, all that modern day stuff kicked ass. I was so into it. I feel like I was 16 a little bit playing this game, being reminded of how into the lore I was and trying to figure it out. And you could look at the paintings at the end of the game that you can only see in eagle vision. It's 12/21, the end of the world date that everyone thought the world was going to die. 12/21/12, and it's just oh my god, what does it all mean? I just remember having so much fun, and then it all goes nowhere.
Yep,
which is pretty cool. So
Well, we'll definitely talk about Mirage later on in the episode, but before we do, Alyssa, you been catching up on anything else?
I've just been playing Sea of Stars, trying to get that finished. I think I'm around the 20-hour mark. And I have finally discovered why it's called Sea of Stars.
Oh,
okay. Pretty cool.
Can you give any idea how close she is, Zack?
Longer than you think. Probably like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, I was guessing probably that amount of time left.
Oh, okay. Well, then exactly how long do you think? So you traversed the Sea of Stars?
Yes, I have.
Dude, what a moment.
I know.
Oh my god. You can't spoil that. It's just
no,
it's great.
That's why I'm trying not to say too much, but I'm really enjoying it. I've had the combat nailed down for a bit, but it was tricky for me to begin with, trying to block or time the attack button, like to make the attacks more powerful, or the block button to lessen the damage, but now I'm kind of getting used to it, so.
The Paper Mario isms into combat?
It's definitely trickier than Paper Mario, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm glad you're digging it. That is on my list of things I would like to finish after we are done doing this convention, because I was really, really digging that game, and I'm looking forward to get back.
How's your Wheels journey?
I still have not won a game.
Great. I love Wheels. I want Wheels to be like an iOS game.
It's like a card game that's in the game or something?
No, it's more of a, what'd you call it? It's kind of a board game slot game hybrid.
Oh,
I need a Wheels senpai.
Oh, no problem.
What's a senpai?
It just means someone
teacher,
superior.
Oh yeah,
Sherpa.
I'll be your senpai.
As for me, I finally dove into Gears 4 this week with Joel Selinsky. I went online. It's been a really fun trip, kind of going through those games this year, especially with someone that's never played them before. You know, we started with Gears 1. Granted, we played the remastered, then 2, then 3, then Judgment, and now we jump into 4, which is the first one that was on like Xbox One, right? Because Gears 1, 2, and 3 were on Xbox 360,
right?
Yeah. And then 4 was the first one. It's just really cool seeing how good that game looks. Granted, I know it's up-res for the current, like for the Series X and S or whatever, but I also forgot how confusing that whole first part of the game is in terms of what's going on. Where's the locust? Why is this? Like, I completely forgot about that. It's been so long that it kind of feels somewhat fresh to me too, and it's fun experiencing that with Joel, who's having a blast with it.
Because you fight robots for the first bit of it, right?
Yeah. DBs. They call them DBs.
Okay.
And
for Dan
I don't know.
Baird.
Is it?
Yep.
Is that what that stands for?
Because he created them.
I did not. I've never made that connection in all my years.
I hadn't either, Scott.
But gameplay is just genuinely fun. We're also playing it on easy. Like, we're not. We just want to go through and experience the story and be able to talk while we're playing. But it's also great having a person that like just completely stops talking whenever there's a cutscene, and especially because he wants to see the story because he's never seen it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's always a lot of fun. The game just continues to be, the series continues to be just so much fun to play. I'm hoping that we can get through all 5 of them. Well, actually, I guess all 6 of them by the end of the year. That'd be a pretty cool thing to be able to say that I played through all the Gears games in 2023.
Are you you're counting Judgment? Is that how you're getting 6?
Yeah. Which is not a terrible game.
No.
I just it's not a bad game at all. It's a decent game. It's just it doesn't have those big spectacle moments that the rest of the series had. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. So.
But it does have the best character as the main character, so that's nice.
Ooh.
I didn't know that Cole had his own game.
So anyway, thanks for Joel for reaching out and asking if we could do that again. I mean, I really wanted to play some other stuff, and I was like, no, I really got to play some online and do this, and I was glad I did. It was really good. So thank you, Joel. Well, let's go ahead and move on and talk about the week's news. Real quick, before we get into the new trailers, I want to talk about one of our sponsors for R2V2. Disc Replay is a local business. I mean, they're also a franchise, but they've got a shop here in Rockford over on 6085 East State Street in Rockford, and their website is discreplay.com. I'm in there at least, twice a month just go in there to kind of browse their catalog. They've got everything from retro games to newer games to movies. They've even got art prints, and the staff is really great. So if you're in the Rockford area, highly recommend checking out Disc Replay. They actually will be at R2V2 with a table, and they're going to also put up a bunch of artwork for us as well. So shout out to those guys. Really looking forward to having them at the show. As for the new trailers, first off, we got one for the Star Wars Heritage Pack, which is coming to Switch on December 8th. It comes with, 7 different Star Wars games, all for $60. Also had Berserk Recharged. Apparently Atari is just kind of going back to the well and remaking these games, and I'm not mad at it. And then lastly, a Boy and His Blob Retro Collection. I was not expecting that. That's kind of the big surprise. In sad news, there are more layoffs, this time at Telltale Games. Also, Microsoft is reportedly closing the deal on the Activision Blizzard deal on Friday the 13th. And lastly, a live production of Cyberpunk is in the works. CB, you were not here last week. I'm going to go ahead and give you first pick of what story you'd like to talk about.
Man, I get to pick over Zack. He wouldn't hear either.
Well, I missed him, so.
So I gotta be put to work.
You got a pity.
So, well, I guess we'll talk about this Microsoft deal.
Okay.
Hopefully soon it will stop chewing up my news feed.
I feel like it's been done for a while, and I don't know.
They just keep trying to drag this out. So the deadline had been extended to October 18th. Supposedly they're going to finally finalize the deal on the 13th. Brad Smith was quoted on X.
No,
Twitter. Just please.
It's
Yeah,
Twitter.
just say Twitter.
We are encouraged by this positive development in the CMA's review process. We presented solutions that we believe fully address the CMA's remaining concerns related to cloud game streaming, and we will continue to work toward earning approval close prior to the October 18th deadline. This is coming shortly after the company's victory with the FTC back in July, and also the fact that the FTC is now challenging it again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, you lost. Let it go.
Didn't they already appeal it, and that they lost the
They're
appeal
appealing
as well?
again, and then they have an in-house one that they're doing as well.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, just let it go. You lost.
Yeah, I don't. I'm glad that this story is going to be finally put to bed, and people can just stop it, because all it's doing is fueling the console wars even further.
Yeah.
That's really all it's doing in my world. Driving sales for Xbox.
Yeah.
Here's the question: if this goes through, is there going to be like World of Warcraft on Xbox?
Only if there's going to be PC. Well, I mean, keyboard support.
I've never played. You actually have to have
someone
keyboards?
Gotta have all those hotkeys, bro.
I would hate to play World of Warcraft with just a controller.
Guess you could do some kind of weapon wheel thing to replace the hotkeys.
You'd be terrible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying it's possible.
How many hotkeys do you have in World? I have no idea how the game is played.
Hang on, just looking at my keyboard real quick and remembering.
Okay,
it's gotta be like 14, right?
About 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically,
15.
Q E R T F G Z X C V B T and H.
Thanks for reading your keyboard. That's amazing.
Well, no, but just like that section of the keyboard,
right?
Well, the game is a very immersive game, and like that's just like on the keyboard. Like depending on what you do with your mouse or which type of mouse you did, like there's a lot to be done with it. I'm more excited over the fact that there's like this massive backlog of things that Activision and Blizzard both seem to have forgotten that they made and hasn't been touched in, I don't know, decades.
Like what?
Rock and roll racing. I would love to see some of the
Man, was that on the collection recently? They had a Blizzard collection that had
on
that
my
on there.
PC.
Was it PC only? I could have swore that was Xbox as well.
I would have bought it.
Because they had that in Lost Vikings and
Something
else.
Lost Vikings 2.
No, but there was a third one that wasn't related to either of those two series.
But I mean, Activision has a bunch of stuff. Like Activision alone could do an Atari collection. of games.
Yeah,
Like there's,
I wouldn't want to play them. Come
But-
on, do
but
you
I'm
really
saying-
want to play Atari games?
but here's the thing. What I'm saying is, if it was for achievements, I would. But that's how long Activision's been around.
Yeah.
And like back in the Atari day, I mean, they pumped out close to 50 games alone.
hmm
So Activision has quite a massive backlog of stuff that hasn't been touched. Dude,
That was back when the Activision logo was that A with the rainbow. Remember that?
Yep. Oh, and there
They
was
had
the
the-
line underneath it too.
Yeah. Man, that
But see,
that
they could do a new-
logo alone brings back memories.
They could do a new barnstorming game. Give me a biplane, like fly around, do like stunt tricks and everything. That could be fun.
So Pilot Wings.
Pilot Wings is a different company, so barnstorming it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I like what Atari is doing with those like recharged games. Like I did Yar's Revenge recharged and Missile Command
Or
recharged.
even the
and-
Atari 50 collection. Like that.
Well,
was-
that's more of like a historical,
It-
like bring that back and tell us a story about it.
Oh god, what was the name of the other one that I just played too? Where you go through and play like modified version of all the old Atari games.
Oh, I thought that was
I-
our Atari. Oh no,
No.
the one where you like did like multiple games at once.
Atari-
It's
like-
on Game Pass right now, I believe. Or is it?
I don't think it's on Game Pass.
I know what you're talking about, but it was like they actually combined some of the games together.
Yeah,
and
it did a lot of mashups, but that was cool. So I mean,
weren't you like a curator in a museum or something, and you had
the
to like
curator
figure
in the
out-
Atari Museum.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I mean, there's a lot that they could be doing with it. So, but that's the thing is they could bundle a bunch of the Atari games together and just throw it on Game Pass because they'll own it.
Probably Activision games, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not Atari.
Just
Yeah. But well, I mean,
the
they are
Activision
Atari
games that
but
were on Atari. Yeah,
made by Activision.
I mean, this is so drawn out. I feel bad for Microsoft because the FTC won't let them be.
No, they will not.
slow down, Slim Shady,
Word.
because the FTC won't let me
Yeah,
be me.
it's the FCC, but yeah.
I know, but
No, yeah.
I caught the reference, man. That was
Okay,
clever.
it's good. Thank you.
But yes,
How's that working out for you?
It will
Being
finally
clever?
be put to bed.
Yeah.
So
Well, the highest I've achieved is being second run on this podcast, so
Nice.
pretty great.
All right, well, Zach, you were also gone last week. What story do you want to talk about?
Well, it's nice of Microsoft to be wrapping this up just in time for R2V2, by the way. That was nice.
Yeah,
Phil, come on out.
please come
Yeah,
out. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I'd love
that'd
to
be
meet
dope.
Phil Spencer.
Prove you're one of us, man. I know you really like to do that. It's one of your favorite
Remember
things
that?
to
Remember
do.
that time when we were like 20 feet from Phil Spencer, and I was just creepily looking at the camera.
Smil
Yeah,
Spencer.
yeah. It's hard to forget. I did appreciate that. Keanu Reeves was there, but we were more intrigued by Phil Spencer.
I know, right?
But I don't know. I mean, I think the Star Wars Heritage Pack, I think that's a pretty great offering for Christmas. These are 7 Star Wars games. Treat your kid right. Get them this on the Nintendo Switch so they can experience back when Star Wars was cool. You got Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, Republic Commando, Episode 1 Racer, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and both Knights of the Old Republic games. It is important to note that the KOTOR games are actually downloads. They're not actually on the cart. But
People are really upset about that.
it's frustrating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you be upset?
No, I know. I just
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I started seeing the outrage. Is the only reason that I brought it up.
Yeah, I think it's because you pay a different fee based on the memory size of your Switch cartridges.
Mm.
So it just means that they didn't want to foot the bill for a higher price cartridge, which I guess is a little frustrating when it's $60.
Mhm.
You could probably just splurge the extra. But whatever. It is weird. Why wouldn't you put the? Come on, I feel like those are the two that people are probably buying the most. For this.
Yeah.
I would have probably said Force Unleashed, but you also said that version was not the greatest version.
It is not, but I'm just saying, Episode 1 Racer, Republic Commando, those are probably the least popular on here.
You
Make
could
those
drop
the downloads.
both of those and just honestly, you could just give me Force Unleashed, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, and KOTOR 1 and 2. And I'd be
Okay,
like,
I remember
look.
Republic Commando being really cool, man.
They're
Not saying
all
it's not-
bangers.
I'm not saying they're good, but if I was to drop 2 out of that collection, it'd be those 2.
All of these games are great. So
That's a
pick
lot of
this up.
content too.
It is.
Yeah, it is just frustrating. Like if you're traveling, you don't pre-install those KOTOR games, and you're like, oh, you know what, I could go for a little Star Wars, and you just can't play it off your cartridge. That sucks
Mm-hmm.
for a portable console.
I'm still waiting for the day that they actually make a Switch game that requires 2 carts.
Well, this week they released the first 2-disc PS5 game.
That's
Did you hear
true.
about
Yeah, Forbidden West Complete Edition.
that? Mm-hmm. And then the next Final Fantasy Rebirth is also going to be two discs.
That was the
which
first
is crazy.
one ever announced.
Yes, that was announced first, but actually the Horizon one came out first. But like, remember when there were multiple discs like on the PS2 era for those like long RPGs or like?
Oh yeah.
PS1, there was a 4-disc game.
Well, there was 4 disc on Xbox 360 as well. Just I think it was only the one game.
Lost Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey had 4 discs, which is a nightmare if you're a collector trying to find one that has all 4 discs intact.
Yeah.
Well,
especially because they didn't they come in like a sleeve? Like 2 of the discs like came in a sleeve that was like behind the instruction manual or something?
No. There was it had a special case that actually stacked the discs on top of each other. Because remember how some of the cases had like 2, where it was like you'd have one in each one or whatever, which was pretty standard.
No, I remember it had a spindle, but for some reason I remember when I opened it, the extra disc would come in the.
Well, that's because you bought it from GameStop.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
GameStop
mine
was
were all
infamous for
stacked
that.
on top of each other.
Okay,
Yeah, this one. I think it was all 4 were on top of each other, weren't it, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Or was there 2 and 2?
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure.
Mine was all 4, but I did buy mine used at GameStop, so that
Yeah, who
could also
knows?
be a.
Well, what
I could have swore I got mine the day it came out, but
Did you? Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter.
I did not play it new, so I did not play a new copy.
Well, I know GameStop was infamous for like, oh, we can just pull the spindle out of another game and put it in there, but it was the one that was designed for 2 discs.
Yep.
GameStop sucks.
This
Hey.
is something we all know.
Hey, GameStop let us put flyers in their store.
No. I'm pretty sure it's the fact that we know the people who work at that GameStop who are cool as hell.
Yeah, employees can be cool, but GameStop, the corporation, selling you new games that are open and have been played, or
That they
You know,
claim still are new.
somehow,
Yeah.
or they sell you used games online that don't, you don't have the option of like, well, I don't want it unless it has a case, but sometimes they'll just mail you a freaking disc. It's just a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
Or the fact that I gotta be asked about this warranty every time I go in there to buy something.
Ugh.
I actually succumbed to I went in there to purchase a Switch for our giveaway. We're giving away a Mario Red Edition Nintendo Switch at R2V2.
Uh-huh.
And I was there just to pick it up, and the guy knows us because we've been in there all the time. Chadwick, you remember Chadwick,
Yeah.
Chris? And he was like, "Well, anything else you want to pre-order?" I was like, "Dude, I got Mario Wonder already pre-ordered. I got Mario RPG pre-ordered already. I think I'm good." He's like, "Well, what about those new Zelda amiibos?" And I was like, "Son of a bitch."
Hey, look, the pre-ordering I'm fine with. It's the warranty, which when I was being trained at GameStop was told it was a add-on for complete suckers. That was the exact words my manager used.
Wow.
Was
that just his opinion, or?
No, it's totally stupid. I mean, if your game's not going to, have a 30-day return policy already. Why are you paying $3 extra? Like, if the game's not going to work, you're going to know about it.
Yeah, and you're not going to play it after 30 days anyway.
And it doesn't. It used to, when it first came out, it did cover like if your kid snapped the disc in half, they would still replace it, but they don't do that anymore.
Wow.
So it's just there's no reason to buy it. As my 9th grade business class taught me, if something's 100% profit for the company, it's 100% bad for the customer.
Interesting. Anyway, I'm glad this exists, but I will be waiting until it's inevitably on sale for $20 at Black Friday or something like that.
You mean the digital version?
I mean, I don't have a game share partner for Switch, so I don't really care about digital.
Yeah, and the Switch cases are so fun.
I do like the nice little Switch cases.
Yeah, those are great.
They do look nice.
All right, Alyssa, what story do you want to talk about?
The sad story. More layoffs, this time at Telltale Games. Jonah Huang, an employee of Telltale, posted on Twitter, or X, whatever you prefer.
Stop it!
I prefer Twitter, okay.
Don't give them the power.
I saw somebody on an article I read the other day that referred to it as the website previously known as X. I thought that was great.
Anyway, the actual quote. This is a sore subject, but I feel it necessary to add to the gaming layoff news. Telltale laid most of us off in early September. The status of The Wolf Among Us 2 I can't say due to being under NDA. Now, I focus on what matters to me, my own game, and the following words. Games industry, we must unionize. Telltale responded later, blaming current market conditions on the layoffs, and that its projects currently in development are still in production. The Wolf Among Us 2 was originally announced back in 2019, and it has since been pushed back again to 2024 for release.
5 years.
Yeah. And Jamie Odely?
Sure.
CEO of Telltale, blamed the delay on the shift from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, and Telltale claims they are supporting those affected, but there are no details as to what that means yet.
Is this just going to be like in every week we're going to have one of these stories?
It feels
Probably.
like it.
I mean, Telltale put out The Expanse, right? Which I admittedly did not play, so I'm part of the problem for not supporting him, but I feel like Telltale games are coming out crazy often back in the day, and that's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head right now.
They were because they were easy to make. The problem is The Expanse didn't it end a while ago?
I think it just ended, right?
Yeah, because they were releasing, I think, an episode every 2 weeks or something of that nature.
I mean, for me,
I still not watched that show. I've heard it's amazing.
It's something I never really got into, and for me, it was just a very strange property to be choosing to do a Telltale style game.
Okay. Why's that?
It just, as far as like the rest of the Telltale games that got made, like you look at the Outliers, the one that only got like one round, Game of Thrones. So it's just like, okay, we're going to choose some random TV properties and make those. The ones that did really well, The Walking Dead, surprisingly, but it had nothing to do with the TV series.
Told a great story, though.
It's a phenomenal story. The Wolf Among Us was phenomenal. I don't know why it took them this long to do a sequel. The Back to the Future one was the Jurassic Park one was.
How do you spell that?
Spelled
Is that capitalized?
No, lowercase. Capitalized.
Okay.
The Borderlands one did really well. The Batman one did really well. So, but like The Expanse, I had no desire to buy that one. I've played every other Telltale game. This is the only one I didn't touch because I'm like, I don't care.
But have you watched the show?
Nope.
Yeah, the show just I know it is beloved. It just never struck me as being ubiquitously popular enough to make
same.
this big Telltale game.
Mm-hmm.
When
I don't even know what platform it's on. Where's it?
I assume all of them.
Xbox.
I think, yeah.
I've seen it in the store to buy it, and I'm just like, no, pass.
No, I mean, I don't want to buy it. I want to just stream it on something I subscribe to currently.
You know what property I'm surprised has never been hit with a Telltale, and it would probably sell like gangbusters? Doctor Who.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, that would sell like gangbusters.
Hey,
the
I'd buy
licensing for that has got to be so expensive.
You know what? Do a 40K one, because they hand that stuff out like candy.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Just, here you go, take it.
We could afford the 40K license.
I'm willing to bet we probably could.
So I guess I got a choice of stories.
Well, hold on. Layoff sucks. Did you guys hear about the unionization at Avalanche, though?
I heard about it. I don't know any details, though.
Yeah, so 100 developers in Sweden have filed with like the federal union board or something. So they are unionized now. It's just contract negotiations with their owners, basically.
So how does that work? Because I mean, I'm in a union just because I'm a teacher.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a choice. Like, if you want to unionize, I know corporations, companies, like, their feathers get ruffled and they just try to stop that whenever they can. But how does that work? Like, what do you got to do that? Is it like a leap of faith kind of thing?
I think it is a leap of faith thing. I'm not super educated on unionization, but from my understanding is right. It's like it's these 100 people saying they're going to band together. These are what we want to acknowledge. These are the rules we have, and then it's up to the corporate entity to either be like, okay, yes, or we're going to fire all of you, right?
Yeah, that's that's a risk,
right? Well, if you don't take the risk, then nothing ever changes, right?
Right, but you also run the risk of not having a job at all. So
right, but if your options are if you're going to get laid off anyway, inevitably,
right.
But yeah, nothing changes if people just cower and refuse to fight.
I'm almost wondering if some of these companies aren't preemptively laying all these people off, because with everything going on with the strikes and the unions, they're like, yeah, we don't want to deal with this, so we're just going to go ahead and fire you now. So that way, if the rest of you that are still here unionize, we'll have a little bit control.
Yeah, I actually thought Alana Pierce put it pretty well when the news came out, saying that it's just it's unsustainable that video game publishers keep talking about their record-setting profits and then laying off half of their studios in the same breath. And it's just that's not a relationship that can last forever.
That's kind of how it goes, though, right? Like, it's just
right, but now that's why you're seeing people start to unionize and stuff.
Right. I just don't know how it works. Like
just because that's how it has gone doesn't mean that's how it has to go.
No, I agree. I've just always been curious about like the grassroots effort that it takes to do a union, because I mean, you run the risk, like you said, of not, or like we said, about not having a job, but that company is also running the risk of not having employees making their games for them anymore,
right?
And having to start from scratch, which is the fear. So
if you could, let's say, if you could somehow quietly get everybody at Naughty Dog to agree to unionize together. I mean, what's Sony is not going to. They would have to accept the union, right? They're not going to fire and restart Naughty Dog.
I don't know, man. That's all like corporate stuff that I feel like is so out of my realm of understanding of how the corporate world works. It's just a way above my pay grade in more ways than one. So
that does get kind of like this. This is where I do agree with you on when companies buy up other companies and become very, very large. They make, oh, fine. You know what? Yeah, we're not going to go with you. We're just going to go ahead and move this game over to another company, and they can make it instead.
Yeah, they can do that. But is anybody going to want to? Yeah, who's going to want to play a Last of Us or Uncharted not paid by Naughty Dog?
Yeah.
That's how games and game companies and franchises die.
Or Insomniac, they're like, yeah, we're not going to make Spider-Man 3 until you recognize this as a union. Do you think they're just going to not make Spider-Man 3? They absolutely would accept that union.
That's a different thing. I feel like with that, yes, you're right. There's no way that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But Telltale?
You
Different
say
scale.
that there's no way that they wouldn't.
There's no way they wouldn't.
Not for that's their best selling franchise ever.
I agree with you, but one of the biggest games of all time to this day still does not have its final chapter with Half-Life 2. It's a different reason, but if Valve was like, you know what, we can make Half-Life 3 and make hundreds of millions of dollars, but for some reason they still won't do it. There are companies that will just be like,
yeah, but that's been too long, man.
Well, it's also they make so much money from Steam that it's so irrelevant.
Yeah. They don't need the money.
But what I'm saying is that they could go down different paths. I doubt it would happen, but it is a possibility.
Someday, Zach, CB is going to be like, you know what, you're right.
No, he won't.
I like being the devil's advocate.
One day I'm gonna just like fall out of this chair and CB's gonna be like, you know what, Scott, you made a valid point. You're right. I should reevaluate my last statement. And you convinced me. I cannot wait for that day.
I like to fight. It's never gonna happen, Scott.
As usual, I feel the need to clarify my statement. Spider-Man has sold better at 2 games than any of their other franchises, but God of War and Gran Turismo still outsold, overall. Just
right.
Had to point that out. I don't want someone thinking I'm stupid, is what I'm saying.
And I don't want to deal with the emails.
Now, because they do own Insomniac, correct?
They do, yes. They got them for a song, dude, like $290 million or whatever it was.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, it would be like a little more difficult if they, like, the team that made God of War is like, yeah, no, we're going to use that. Then, yeah, I could believe that.
Well, no, Insomniac's more important right now than Santa Monica is. Santa Monica puts out one, game that sells 10 million copies every 5 years. These guys are cranking out Spider-Man games that sell 20 million a piece every couple of years.
They also make the show.
That's San Diego, not Santa Monica.
Oh, it's Santa Monica.
Yeah. No.
Oh, well.
CB, this is where you go, Zach, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry.
I just said I thought it was. I don't need to say the words. I admitted my mistake. Move on.
All right, I'm moving on. I would love to talk about this Cyberpunk live production, but I have not played Cyberpunk to even like really comment on it. Even though I will say, just from the little that I've seen of that game, that makes sense in a live action production more than some of the other ones I've seen. But I'm going to talk about one of these new trailers. Well, actually, two of them. I love these Recharge series. Berserk is a game that I have such fond memories of playing that game when I was a kid. Looking at it now, it just seems very rudimentary, but they've done the Recharge treatment on that, and I think that looks great. A Boy and His Blob is a game. Has anybody played A Boy and His Blob?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not Alyssa, of course.
of course not.
This game was so clever when I was a kid, the original one. I did not play the Game Boy one, but I think it's really interesting that they put A Boy and His Blob and then A Boy and His Blob 2, like Return to Blobonia or whatever from the
right.
Game Boy on there, but they're not putting the Boy and His Blob game that was on the Wii.
I think it's already on modern consoles, though.
Was it? But like, why not include it?
I agree. Yeah, I was surprised, but
That's the one that had like a dedicated hug button, if I remember correctly.
yes, I think it did, yeah.
Which that's all the button did. It was like the main button was just to hug the blob.
Oh my god, can you imagine how popular that would be in today's world of Can You Pet the Dog?
Seriously, can you
I'd
pet
just
the
be
blob?
hugging the blob the entire time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I have kind of toyed around with like going back and replaying that game because it's very old school. Like looking at that, it reminds me of what I thought Atari games looked like when I was a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it looks. I don't remember that game looking that pixelated,
Yeah.
and a lot of it has to do with the pixels are not like blended together because it's all high def now. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. They're just clever games. Like you have this blob that follows you around. You feed him jelly beans, and he turns into things like umbrellas and holes. And I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. I kind of want to go back and play those games.
Yeah. I do think the remake is better, but the original was fun.
I'm just
I
surprised.
never. Did you play the Game Boy one ever?
No, I did not.
I did not either. So that's what I wanted to talk about because I'm genuinely looking forward to grabbing that at some point. Going to add it to the backlog. How long was that game? That couldn't have been more than 5-6 hours, right?
Is it an NES game, right? It's probably
Yeah.
3 hours at the most.
Probably 3 hours. But I remember struggling with it when I was a kid. So there is that. But I don't know. Just a clever concept. A guy an alien shows up and he's a blob and you feed him jelly beans and he turns into things. It's just fun. So
Ma.
that reminds me of Maw as well.
Yeah.
Remember that game?
Yeah, dude, that game's fun.
That was actually a fun game. All right, with that, let's go ahead and and no, I got some housekeeping to do. Patreon, everybody, if you'd like to help support the Gaming Outsider outside of coming to R2V2, which does help us out, make sure that you head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We are going to get caught up on some of these episodes that we have promised you. It's been very, very busy with R2V2 planning, but we are going to do that that trade-off episode with Kevin and myself. I played through most of Streets of Rage 2. I still have to play Marvel Land, but he's played Sunset Riders and DuckTales. And then we're going to do a Peace of Mind episode. I know that Zack and Alyssa are in for sure. CB, I assume you want in on that at some point, right?
I mean, if you're willing to go down the deep, dark rabbit holes that are in my brain.
It's probably it'll probably the loudest episode we've ever made. I'm sure we'll argue without having to censor ourselves.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
where he can curse like it's a verb. Yeah, come on.
Verb, adjective, everything.
But as I always say, this is a way to help us out, and we do not keep any of the funds for ourselves. We always give back to the community, and we really do appreciate it. So patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. I got one more thing that I'd like to read with you guys before I pass it over to Zack to talk about the new games coming out, and that is our last sponsor, which is our friends over at The Hollywood Outsider. If you like movies and you want to hear people talk about them much like we do, head over to thehollywoodoutsiders.com. I'm actually a former host on that show. I kind of spearheaded that with Aaron back in the day before I peeled off and started doing The Gaming Outsider. They're good people, and John, actually, one of the hosts, helped me design our banner for R2V2 at no cost to us. I really do appreciate that. So if you like movies, please check out that podcast. They're a bunch of really great people. There's Aaron, John, Amanda, and Troy all friends of the show, and would appreciate if you give them a listen. Zach, what new games are coming out that people can check out?
Well, as you know, I always try to narrow it down to just the, more essential ones, and this list is still gargantuan. So imagine how many games there are coming out this week, considering how long this is.
Mm-hmm.
But Lords of the Fallen gets rebooted, even though it's only the second? Is it the second entry? Third entry.
Yeah.
Second?
I think it's second.
Anyway, it's already getting rebooted. PS5, Xbox Series consoles, PC, October 13th. That is, of course, a Souls-like. Transformers Earthspark Expedition, a child-friendly Transformers game, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 13th. Another family adventure, The Grinch Christmas Adventures, a little 2D platformer starring the Grinch trying to ruin Christmas. Going to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 13th. I bet he'll find out his heart size is too small. Kingdom 80's Summer of Greed brawler coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, iOS, and Android, October 16th. Skull Island Rise of Kong, a little King Kong game that I think looks super cool, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 17th. A Boy and His Blob Retro Collection just announced, already coming to PS5, PS4, and Switch, October 17th. Sonic Superstars, which is probably the best platformer coming out in October. Coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 17th. Wizard with a Gun, coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, PC, October 17th. Hellboy Web of Weird, one of the final performances of Lance Reddick, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 18th. Horror game Slender the Arrival is a 10th anniversary remake of the game from back in 2013. Coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, PC, October 18th. Endless Dungeon comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 19th. Gangs of Sherwood, a Robin Hood game that would be much more interesting if it wasn't multiplayer. Coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC, October 19th. Gargoyles Remaster, the old classic, coming back on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 19th. Hot Wheels Unleashed gets a surprise hit, gets a sequel with second entry Turbocharged. Coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 19th. Overpass 2 comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, PC, October 19th. The Gap comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC, October 19th.
The clothing store?
Yes, that's pretty crazy. Scott Clark's annual tradition, the Jackbox Party Pack 10, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, October 19th. And the World of Horror comes to PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC, October 19th. Whew. Scott, what game's calling to you in this list?
I mean, you already mentioned it, Jackbox. Clearly, I weirdly have not gotten a review request for that one, so
oh boy.
I don't know. I have to decide if I'm going to actually buy it. That is a game that I always loved getting a review copy for, because I got to invite people over to play my game or play this game that don't normally play games, and it's one of the rare ones that I can play with anybody. So I love getting people together for that one. But I'm genuinely interested in Gargoyles Remastered because I never played it, and I've heard people talk about that game so fondly. And I kind of want to see what it's all about and also earn some achievements. So I'm going to say Gargoyles Remastered.
All right. What about you, CB?
Oh man, there's a couple. Slender the Arrival.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to play it just because. And like Hellboy, Web of Weird, because
right.
I'm a huge Hellboy.
It's a roguelike.
I know.
It is weird that it's a roguelike, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of like all the things to choose.
Yeah.
Definitely will be picking up Gargoyles Remastered. I loved it on Sega Genesis. So
All right. That means I get to play it.
There you go. Free of charge.
Ooh, I'll make sure to pick it up on PS5 then.
Where we also share.
Fine, I'll pick it up on Switch. Haha, gotcha.
Just stick it to you one way or the other.
And then surprisingly, I want to play World of Horror.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
That is a weird looking game.
It does, yeah. Very, I don't know, like 2-bit. I think that's what you call it, 1-bit.
Yeah, it's 1-bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
It's different. So we'll have to see what happens.
Okay, what about you, Alyssa?
I'm probably not gonna pick any of these up, but World of Horror does interest me, just because it is heavily influenced by Junji Ito. I love his work. One of my favorite manga authors, and yeah, his work is amazing, and it's heavily influenced by him as well as H.P. Lovecraft. But I love the Ito influence, but it is a roguelike and it's also a deck builder along with being a horror game. So that's kind of putting me off of it a little bit. But I'll wait till reviews come around, see what it's really about. Maybe I'll play it because I am interested in the Ito influence, but that's pretty much the only one that's kind of interesting me.
You guys say 1-bit, but this game looks...
Well, that's how the developers describe it.
I know, but I mean, like, maybe it's because it's just black and white, but like, there's some really good-looking art in terms of like just being black and white dots. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I don't. I guess I don't necessarily know what 1-bit means.
I would say.
Yeah, I really don't either.
I would say it falls more into the 4-bit category.
It reminds me of, what was that game that was on PC where you were like on a ship and it, you're like investigating murders and everything.
Adventures of Obra Dinn?
Yeah,
Obra Dinn, yes, that's what it looks like to me.
I would say it reminds me more of like early text adventures.
Yeah,
on like an Apple IIe,
or like an Escher painting, where it's just, or pointillism style of art.
Yeah, I definitely got like Apple PC games.
I think Escher is the wrong artist, by the way. Escher's the one that makes the stairs that never stop, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. Well, as for
Apple
me,
IIe, yes.
As for me, no doubt I'll get to Sonic Superstars at some point. But I don't know why I'm intrigued by the Skull Island game. This kind of mid-tier, kind of lower budget. For all we're playing is King Kong. I like King Kong.
I want to be excited about it, but every time they make like any type of like familiar property kaiju game, it always winds up being so bad.
Well, I mean, the last King Kong game kicked ass.
The Peter Jackson King Kong game?
Yeah, that game was great.
That was like some of the easiest achievements in the world.
Of course. Well, I don't care how easy achievements were, man.
But
that game was wonderful.
For me, it was like the Godzilla PS 4 game. That
Gods and Monsters or something like that?
No, just Godzilla. And it was a fighter game that got that limited pressing physical copies.
It's a rare physical game, I remember.
Yeah. It's and then they shut down the servers almost immediately.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I don't know. I've just always been attracted to Kong, especially when it's on the island with all the weird monsters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in like adolescent, and like his parents have been killed. You're like on a revenge spree.
It's him. It's him becoming the king of Skull Island.
Yeah,
I think that's cool, man. What an excellent story. Every time they redo Kong, I'm there. So I'll play the game.
Yeah. I should mention I am also interested in Boy and His Blob, obviously, but I won't play it. But the Grinch Christmas Adventures made me think, like, why don't we get a lot of Christmas themed games? Like there was a Scrooge Metroidvania that was, or I'm sorry, Gear Gated game.
What the hell's wrong with you, man?
Sorry, Force of Habit.
How can
there's a Scrooge Gear Gated game that was announced, and I'm like, that's a great freaking concept. Like, why don't we get more stuff like that? There's never like,
because Halloween games aren't abnormal, right? But yeah, Christmas games are rare. You're totally right.
And we're getting 2 this year. Granted, one of them is more geared towards children, but yeah, let's get some more Christmas games.
I can think of one Easter game even.
What, Hop?
No, there. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Jazz Jackrabbit?
There's like a Easter Bunny game on PS1.
Oh.
All right. Cool story, bro.
I don't know how relevant that is, but I do thank you for sharing.
Holiday games. You know what? Fine. Screw you.
I
so
miss,
bad.
it was like the PS3 360 era when games did like Halloween DLCs. That was a cool time.
Undead Nightmare.
Oh.
Yeah, or
Undead Nightmare, but there was also like one in Borderlands 2 where like you just went around and collected zombie heads for like a mission and just fun stuff like that.
Festival of Blood or Sleeping Dogs had one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a cool time, but yeah.
Bring some Christmas stuff. Like it's just not done. And I don't know why.
Well, I don't know. I feel like Halloween is more popular than Christmas now, right?
Yeah, thanks to the internet.
Yes, the internet's or the adults took over Halloween.
Well, what do you expect after years upon years of, oh look, the 4th of July's over, it's time for Christmas.
Yeah, I don't think it's to me it's just frustrating because it was like a counterculture thing for sure where people were like, yeah, I like Halloween more than Christmas because it was less popular. But now it is more popular, but people still act like that.
Right.
So it's just kind of
where's
annoying.
The Thanksgiving games?
Yeah, there you go. Let's make that a big. Who doesn't want to celebrate the murder of the indigenous tribes?
How about Thanksgiving movies?
There's a new one coming that's made by Eli Roth.
Okay, so it's gonna be gory as hell.
Yeah!
I'm talking about like Trains, Planes, and Automobiles as like legitimately the only heartwarming Thanksgiving movie that I can think of.
I do think a non-violent Thanksgiving movie, like a heartwarming Thanksgiving movie, is a pretty hard thing to market in our modern world.
Yeah.
Hallmark Channel would be all over it.
No, stay away from Hallmark.
No, I'm just, in a world where it's not Columbus Day anymore, there's just no way you can do Thanksgiving without every
I see. What you're saying.
comment just talking about how like, yeah, it was pretty crazy when we gave everybody smallpox.
Yeah.
What a thankful day.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Man, way to turn my idea like just into the worst thing ever.
I'm trying to save you. I'm getting out ahead of the culture that's going to destroy you.
Being
It is
historically
crazy, like-
accurate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
It's crazy growing up with all these holidays that I just was like,
Don't
hey,
exist
it's a
anymore.
holiday, it's a day off of school, and now I'm like a terrible person for celebrating these holidays. So.
Well, Columbus Day was always funny because I'm like, the dude just turned the wrong way.
I know.
Yeah.
And he didn't even discover the landmass, right?
No,
It's Amerigo
he stole
Vespucci.
credit.
Yeah, like it's crazy. It's just always weird. Even at school, my teacher's like, yeah, it's kind of weird this is a holiday, but here it is. Anyway, he did sail the ocean blue in the year 1492.
You've had to
Anyway.
learn that song.
Speaking of history, I love nothing more than accurate historical data. So Assassin's Creed Mirage tells a true story of a man who can move so fast he teleports. How is it, Scott?
What are you talking about? A man that moves so fast he can teleport.
Yeah, you could. All the gameplay trailers show some teleporting around.
I have not experienced that. I have no
Yeah, no, I assume it must come later.
must. I have not
Yeah.
heard any. I have not experienced any of that in the game yet.
Not one bit.
And I don't know. I'm not even nearly as far as.
I mean,
CB is.
I'm not arguing it. It is there. It's in every trailer.
Oh,
I
okay.
have seen it in the
know.
trailer.
Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. It is a feature. Of
No,
the
no,
game.
no. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, like, I'm surprised because I've avoided the trailers because I just knew that I was going to play this
I've
game
even found
regardless.
the
So I
skill
avoided.
tree, and I don't see anything that would make it do that.
I'm gonna
Well,
have to look down.
I'll show you the trailer. I'm not.
I'm not disagreeing with you. But
No, I'm not saying.
Maybe,
yeah, it's
maybe
not
they're
up for
just
debate.
like making a trailer and showing what fast travel actually looks
No,
like.
because they argued it. They said Basim is so much faster than every other assassin, the Animus can't keep up, and that's why it looks like teleporting, but he's not really teleporting.
Well,
Oh,
first
so
off,
it's a software
awesome.
glitch.
God damn it! They just use that for everything in the Animus, huh? Anytime there's a glitch in the game, like, yeah, dude, it's just the Animus. It's not the game we made. Anyway, Basim.
Basim, not Basim. Because I was like, oh, it's
It
just
seems like
Basim.
it would be pronounced Basim, but
They
I
would,
guess
but they pronounce it
Basim.
Basim.
Yeah. Well,
In the
I
game.
guess
Didn't they call him Basim all throughout Valhalla?
I don't know. I didn't
I-
play Valhalla
I think
for more
they
than an
did.
hour. He was in Valhalla?
yeah. He's.
Spoiler.
I know. I don't know. I always watched all the modern day relevant cutscenes for every Assassin's Creed, and he's pretty important actually too.
Okay,
Assassin's
can we
Creed.
start there, by the way? Because I know, CB, you're further than I am. I have not seen anything modern day at all. Have you?
No.
Okay.
Can I tell
So-
you, as someone who watches this, there is just the intro and outro narration. That's it. But they also that said this is part of their announcement of the game that there would be no modern day advancement.
That really bugs me because I actually like looked forward to that. I mean, you mentioned playing the original Assassin's Creed. That was one of the cool things about
The
that.
tie-in.
Well, it's like, remember, because they marketed that game as, you're going to be in the Middle East or, or
Yeah,
Jerusalem.
12th century, yeah.
And then the game opens up and you don't even get to see that. You're in like Abstergo at the beginning of that game, and it was like, what is going on? It was such a great way to intro that game, and now they're just taking away from it, and it's weird
Oh my
because
God.
I feel
Could you? I'm sorry, this is a little off kilter, but could you imagine if that game came out today? They wouldn't be able to market Assassin's Creed 2 because of how everyone's afraid of spoilers.
right,
Pretty weird.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, I it's a little concerning that is completely absent because it's a fun game. Don't get me wrong, but what's the point if you're not moving?
Is this
Well,
first one without any modern day?
It's probably a product of the
Yeah.
fact that it was originally Valhalla DLC.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It was announced right as a Basim DLC originally.
So is that why it's only $50 as opposed to 60 or 70?
Yes.
That, and here's a feather in its cap, see what I did there, Zack, about why you should play this game is, I was looking at like how long it is to finish this game. People are beating it in like 8 hours,
Yeah.
and
dude.
the longest I've seen people taking on it, like doing everything, is like 17.
I was
So-
all in until I saw the weird bird you can fly around to mark targets and the teleporting and stuff.
What's wrong with the bird? I think that's pretty cool.
Because it's just it's not classic Assassin's Creed to me.
Well,
Okay, outside of the bird and the weird glitchy thing that you keep talking about that I have yet
Yeah.
to experience,
Uh-huh.
dude, this feels like the original Assassin's Creed. I'm not gonna lie.
it really does. In more ways than one. I will say that it's not like the 9 targets that you just have to go assassinate. It's not that cut and dried like the original Assassin's Creed, but your missions are very much go do the investigations and learn details and stuff to figure out where you have to go to get to your next target.
Yeah, see, that sounds great.
It feels like an updated version of the original Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Are one-hit self kills back?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
That's why I couldn't stand that in the RPG Assassin's Creed.
Well, that's back. Pickpocketing is important again.
okay, that's
um,
cool.
Climbing the towers, you do have to look at the tower and pick your route
Are you
Yep.
being for real?
because
Yes.
there are
Wow, okay.
false routes. If you're
Yeah, I
climbing,
thought
you'll get to a
for-
point where you're like, I can't progress up this tower any further. Backtrack, go a different way.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, when I heard Back to the Roots, I assumed that there was no way they would be doing that with the
No,
parkour.
They
That's
totally
great.
did.
That's awesome.
If you screw up, you legitimately have to like run and like blend into the crowd again, or like
So I'm about
attempt to
oh,
hide.
God. Man, I'm about to play this game.
The poster ripping is
Like so-
back. Or
Oh, from Assassin's Creed, the Ezio games.
yeah,
Mhm.
the poster
Wow,
ripping is
okay.
back. Going in
Even like
and-
the town crier, you can go like pay off the town crier to like lower your infamy
Oh,
level.
yeah. Oh, so it does have just kind of the Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood notoriety system.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
dude, it feels great. And then some of the missions are like, you need to sneak into this building and steal this, or find this.
Or go
And-
eavesdrop on this conversation, or like everything is based on like these case files. It's almost like you're a detective trying to uncover all these clues, and then you have this new piece of information and then 4 blank things underneath it, and you just have to go discover them. And then once you get all the clues, you start piecing together what's actually going on or what you have to do next. So it's not like necessarily cut and dried, like go from mission to mission to mission. You have to do investigations in order to progress the story, which is really cool.
That's
And-
That
awesome.
sounds so awesome.
And it
It
gives you
does.
the whole things where it's like, try to do this mission, but try not to kill anybody, or
See,
try not to take any
don't-
damage. You
dude.
suck at it. Don't. I'm
No,
doing
no.
it just fine. You're terrible.
Don't
at
put
it.
the name Assassin's Creed on a game and then give me a bonus objective to not kill anybody. That seriously makes me so angry. Like
I
I'll
understand.
get,
It's
I will
just a
get like
bonus.
not. Yeah, it's a bonus, but still,
You can
you
still
know
go
me,
murder
dude.
ball.
If I don't do it, then I'm gonna like go back and try it again till I get it right.
No, I
But-
will say, I did always love trying to assassinate my target without killing anybody in those missions. Just killing the target only. Like that's a
Th-
fun thrill for me. But these are investigation missions, right? You're saying?
Well,
Well,
part of it is because of his original background of who he was before he joined the Brotherhood.
Oh, I see. That's okay.
yeah, they've got like a story reason for why that's going. But
Is it? I'm sorry. Is it an optional objective in every mission to not kill somebody?
No,
No, these are like these contract missions that you get that are more or less side missions
to get
but
John
they're-
Wick tokens.
Oh, okay.
Get John Wick
Oh.
tokens. Yeah, you get these
Which
little.
is to go to the currency of the Assassin's Guild or something?
Well, it's like you give them to shopkeepers to lower their prices, or you give them to the town criers to lower your infamy, or
or you can
okay.
give
So
them
it-
to the groups of people to go distract guards.
yes.
So that they're
yeah.
John Wick tokens.
They do
Mhm.
sound a little like it. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
fine. Do they still call themselves the hidden ones in this one?
Yes.
They do.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't understand. Is this like
Okay.
before or like right after Origins?
This
or
is-
what?
This is pre Altair.
Right. 9th century Baghdad, right?
Yes, because there's something like you see the building from the original Assassin's Creed.
Masyaf?
It's
Word.
it's like under construction, so you do see it.
Do you know the Green Dome building?
No,
No, okay.
when he goes to the area to start his training, that building
Should be
you
like
see in
it
the
should be like a
background.
mountain fortress of some kind.
Oh,
right?
when there's the training montage that you like
Yeah.
half expect 80s music.
You're
to
the
be playing
best!
during.
Around.
Yeah.
He is apparently. The Animus can't keep up with him.
So you go there and there's so many things that like there's a callback to Assassin's Creed 1. Like you see the black robes of the head of the order.
Oh yeah, Al-Mualim.
So I'm just like, this feels real good, because it feels like it's about to tie the old stuff to the new stuff finally.
Mm-hmm.
Like this DLC, game feels like it's the final tie from the newer games to the original.
Mm-hmm. And there's a little bit of both in each of them. Like it feels like it feels more like the old school Assassin's Creed games, but it still has a little bit of the flavor of the new ones. I think CB described it as like a refined version of the original games.
Would you say the combat hews closer to the original games or to the newer games?
The newer games.
See, I would say more closer to the older games, because the reason that CB is going to say that it's to the newer games is because your attack is in the right bumper button. However, this is not a attack first game. The game rewards you for being stealthy because of the one-hit kill system. So if you can be stealthy and clear out enemies that way, it works. However, if you get into open conflict, it sucks. Because
you need to dodge and roll and block and parry.
Right. It basically comes down to two ways to, remember the old games, you like kind of sit and wait for them to attack you, then you just parry it and then kill them?
Yeah, I loved it.
I loved it as well. This one does if they turn yellow, you have to parry it, and then you can just like attack them right back. Or if they turn red, then you have to dodge out of the way, and they've mapped the dodge button to the square button on PlayStation, or X button on the Xbox. And I kind of want to switch that, because I cannot dodge with the X button. It just feels weird to me.
Attacking with a bumper in an Assassin's Creed game sounds weird.
It does.
I mean, they did it for the last 3.
I know.
But if you do parry at the proper time, you can just auto kill them.
Yep. It gives you a little message that says kill, and you just do it.
Nice. That's
pretty cool.
This is, I guess I have a lot of Assassin's Creed fanboy questions, apparently. But are the memory corridors back when you kill targets?
I haven't come to a target yet.
I will let you know soon.
Okay.
I've been doing the Scott Clark thing in Assassin's Creed games and just going and doing a whole bunch of side stuff before doing the side missions.
Yeah, we have to do the towers every time, obviously.
Yeah.
Are the towers back?
The towers are back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I said, the
back.
towers are back in the proper way they should have been.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, because climbing stuff in Odyssey was so boring. I remember.
Oh, and there's like false things too. Like it'll give you, as you're climbing a tower, there'll be like a window that you can see to break out, and you're like, "Ooh, there's something in you." You break through it, and there's nothing in there.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
It's
how is the story? I mean, I know it's got I'm not even gonna the Middle Eastern woman with the raspy voice that I dare not try to pronounce her name.
Oh man, she sounds like the dude that was Robin Williams' brother in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah,
she's awesome. I love her.
She looks like
she's great, but that voice just reminds me of that. Like, I gotta call my mother.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a voice that does not fit. I'm like, everybody's Middle Eastern, but you sound not
Jewish. Yeah,
she's.
I would say like
Middle
South
Eastern.
Central Bronx Jewish.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, like American.
Yeah.
Arab is the story any good though?
I'm enjoying it.
I am enjoying it. His way of getting into the Hidden Ones guild is kind of pat, but I still enjoyed it just because he's so earnest. Like I feel like this is one of the first times where he's actually like a character's trying to get into the guild. You know what I mean? It's not like he just happens across it.
Okay.
Or whatever. He's actually doing his best. He knows about them and he wants to be a part of it. He's actually
does
doing
feel like the Altair, like Ezio and Connor era, where know of the group, you want to become part of the group.
Well, Ezio didn't, right? His dad got murdered and he found his outfit basically, and then just used it. They kind of found him,
right?
Yeah.
And Connor looked for the assassins because he needed training to kill the white man, basically.
Right. Even Kenway just kind of fell into it. Like he just
Edward
showed up
Kenway?
on an island. Yeah.
Well, he didn't want to be. He wasn't an assassin until like the last 2 minutes of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Still a fun
surprise.
game.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla where they're like, well, I guess you could just become affiliated with us.
Yeah. Odyssey was really bad about it. I remember. I didn't play Valhalla, obviously, or Origins.
Valhalla,
I didn't either.
you were never an assassin in Valhalla. Like, we're friends. Like, I'm an assassin. You work with me. We're friends.
Doesn't seem like you're taking the creed very seriously.
You definitely do not.
This is when
Has
we're
anyone said nothing is true, everything is permitted?
I'm waiting because I have a
right?
feeling. I have a feeling like that's going to be the like final line of the game.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be part of the story, is them discovering that motto or something.
Well, that's the thing with each of like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Like, there was a little piece of the lore to the Brotherhood. So I feel like this is the final piece.
I'm sorry I'm asking all these weird questions, by the way. I used to care about
No.
Assassin's Creed a lot. So
I genuinely, I know you were kind of knocking it when you started, and I was kind of bummed out because I really feel like this is a return to form that you will appreciate.
I think it sounds more and more like it. I will just not press the eagle button.
You don't really have to. I think there's a
that's what I'm
couple
saying.
times where it's helpful, but I don't really.
It reminds me of do you remember when people were complaining about the glory kills in Doom Eternal, and it just replied with, "Well, you control the buttons you press."
To be honest, I really don't use the eagle because
I don't use them that much either.
they're like, oh well, you can mark things with it, and I'm like, I don't need to mark the targets because I can just go into eagle vision
Right? Yeah.
and still mark them anyways.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'll just not press that.
Yeah, it sounds
The-
fantastic.
The frustrating thing about the teleportation thing is it bugs me because it looks and feels supernatural, but it does also look awesome when he does it.
Hmm.
The way it slows it kind of reminds me of a Mark and Execute from Splinter Cell.
Okay,
Yeah, but you guys don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. So if that happens, that's going to be especially weird if that is something that happens before, Altair's era. Like if Basim had it, why didn't Altair have it?
I think there is a story reason in Valhalla for why he has it.
Oh,
There
okay.
is,
Yeah.
because I know exactly what you're talking about, like the glitching thing, but that's a story beat, which would be spoiler.
Yeah.
So
And it's weird to
At this
weird to
point, I
mess up.
feel like I'm just going to go watch a Valhalla video because there's no way I'm going to put
Oh,
150 hours into it.
to get to the point of discovering what that glitch is,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of work.
Well, then never mind. Didn't they also put out like a 30-hour epilogue DLC to Valhalla as well?
Yeah.
So I mean, that game's
So
insane.
many hours.
Yeah, that game's
Val-
ridiculous.
I don't know. I just feel like this game feels like an answer to people that really missed the old school games and missed not having to put in 100+ hours in an Assassin's Creed game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy for it. I'm really stoked. Like I feel like I could finish this one this year.
I'm imagining the first Assassin's Creed was smoother everything, like smoother
Yes.
running and climbing and
Yeah, because some of the parkour was a little sluggish. Like
I could-
trying to turn around and trying to go down instead of jumping across. The free running.
and trying to jump at an angle. If someone who's
Mhm.
playing the first Assassin's Creed right now is not always easy.
Yes.
And actually, like you brought up, where the newer ones where you can basically just climb anything. In this, you cannot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's awesome. I really, yeah, I feel like I got to vote with my wallet,
So
and show Ubisoft I care about this kind of Assassin's
if they
Creed.
made more games like this one, I would be all for it.
I don't see a world where they couldn't do both. Here's a big open world. 2 years later, here's a smaller one. 2 years later, here's your another big open world one.
Tied you over for the big
Yeah.
one.
Basically,
Yeah.
give me any of the Middle Eastern stuff like this.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I love that.
And then
so
like,
much.
oh, we're gonna make an Assassin's Creed in Japan. Give it to me like Origins and Valhalla and Odyssey.
that is the next one.
Do it.
Feudal Japan style
Allegedly,
Valhalla.
it's been allegedly feudal Japan for like.
Well, they straight up
decade.
announced it this time because they have that hub where you're going to download the Assassin's Creed Infinity app and you'll be able to access all the games through that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one of them is Feudal Japan. The other one is a witchcraft one, which sounds cool. It's supposed to be a horror Assassin's Creed.
I think it's supposed to be what, Salem.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
sounds
so
that'd
cool
be-
to me.
That would be
freaking awesome.
cool.
I'm way into that.
So yeah, Assassin's Creed Mirage. I am enjoying it.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry. I feel like I feel like I talked more than you guys did. I just had so
No,
many
dude.
questions about it.
You asked really good questions, and
And they were.
I honestly, I kind of felt like I was going to be coming into this conversation about the game trying to convince you to play it because it really feels like a return to form. And that's how they advertised it. And we were kind of like, well, this doesn't look return to form. It really is.
And then Scott brought it up to me. He's like, so how do you feel? And I'm like, dude, this feels like 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like 1 and 2 in the best possible ways, with some of the some of the things from the newer games cherry picked in that worked very well and just dropped in.
I haven't come across any like those tombs or cathedrals or whatever where you have to like figure out how to parkour your way.
Well, those weren't in the first game, so
right. But they were in the second one. To CB's point, like,
and they were cool.
There are these side missions. I can't remember what they're called, but it's almost like Tales of Baghdad or something like that.
Yep.
Where like you like the one I did was I was helping a guy find a specific gravestone, and I just thought it was just a very simple quest, but I just love that there's a lot of different things to do. It's not just the original Assassin's Creed where you have 3 things that you're doing over and over again. You're either eavesdropping on information,
pickpocketing, or killing.
Yeah, like that's all you did.
It wasn't even killing, you just beat him up, actually.
Right, to get information. Yeah. This one, there's just so many different ways to branch out and get information. There's even like a whole sub-screen that shows all the case files, and when you get all the clues, it'll say case closed, and then it'll attach it to the next one.
Dude, that sounds pretty cool, man. It's like a Assassin Batman.
A little bit. I mean, it's not as. I'd say it's pretty close to to Batman games. Like in terms of like how they do the detective work in Batman games. Like you're going to use your eagle vision to find this, and and by the way, like I feel like the game is not very forgiving in telling you where to go. You know what I mean? You've got your map marker where you follow the waypoint, but then they do the old school Assassin's Creed thing where you get to a specific circle, and then it's like, okay, you're here. Go find that person.
Oh yeah,
figure it out.
Use your eagle vision.
Use your eagle vision and try to find a person that is highlighted this specific color instead of we're just going to have you go to that waypoint, which is kind of interesting.
And by the way, Zach, because I know how much you hate them, the skill tree is fairly simple.
Well, I feel like their pre-release talks, it sounded like do you not get experience points?
You get skill points.
Okay.
But it's not like you level up. Like certain missions, you'll just get a skill point.
No, there's a bar that you get because the game is segmented, the map is segmented. Remember how they used to do that?
Right.
And I haven't completed a segment completely, but every time you complete something in each segment, it has a little bar that goes across. Like you start as a novice, and I see that going up, but it's not like points. You don't see. You just every once in a while it just goes up.
Right, but it's not like a forced RPG.
Correct.
Thing.
Right.
Yeah, and honestly, most of the skills that you can obtain aren't game breaking.
Yeah, most of them are like the
your
early
eagle
ones
can see an additional 10 yards.
Yeah.
Right.
Or when you kill somebody, you automatically pickpocket them as opposed to having to pick it up after you kill them. You know what I mean?
Kind of quality of life upgrades.
Yeah.
Right. Now some of the weapons do that, like, do I want this sword that gives a 10% stagger? Or damage after I stagger somebody.
Now you're trying to turn me off the game.
I'm just being honest. I don't want you to be. I want to feel like I'm
using
the
same sword and dagger that I started the game with.
So am I.
You can upgrade them for some extra damage.
Yeah. Okay,
I could still just murder ball.
And the swords are cool looking,
much more refined than the recent RPG games.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
much simpler.
The last 3, the weapons were just like. You were constantly swapping out weapons. This is like, I've upgraded my sword once.
Yeah,
and I haven't even changed out a sword. So for what that's worth.
Tell you one thing, guys. This game does not sound aggressively average.
It does not.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, man. I really do.
Very much you. But you know what else sounds like very much you? El Paso Elsewhere, because it sounds kind of westernish.
Well,
but looking at the trailer, I'm like. This seems.
I think it looks Max Payne-ish.
Shooty zombie
also makes me think of Zack.
Yeah, that doesn't get much more Max Payne-ish than El Paso Elsewhere. It is. That is what this game is. Yeah, it is Max Payne, but supernatural.
I'm listening. Max Payne was supernatural, I thought.
No, what the hell are you talking about?
Or is that just the movie?
That was the movie.
Yeah. The movie weirdly took something that wasn't supernatural at all and made it vaguely supernatural. It was a very strange decision.
Okay.
There are no Valkyries in Max Payne as there are in the movie. But yeah, this is you're playing as James Savage, who I assume is some kind
Cool
of cousin
name.
of Max Payne.
He's
Based
also
on the
Ben's
name.
brother.
Or Fred.
Dear Lord. Yes, he's of the Savage lineage. But his ex-girlfriend is Dracula. She is the Lord of the Vampires, and it's pretty rough when your ex is the Lord of the Vampires, especially when she's conducting a ritual to end the world as we know it, which is what she's doing. It is a it's a shooty game like Max Payne. Very much that kind of third-person PC style from back in the day that we don't get anymore. Bullet time is a huge deal. You can shoot dodge through the air, but unfortunately, it's not very useful in this game. It is much more useful to just slow down time and aim, because you still aim in real time like you do in Max Payne when you slow down time.
Right.
Then that's your advantage.
Oh, okay.
But the shoot dodging through the air, the coolest part of Max Payne, just doesn't kind of work here. It is unfortunate, but it's the way the levels are made and the way the enemies are clustered, because most enemies just kind of rush you or they kind of teleport around and stuff. It's not the same as shooting mobsters, so you can't fling yourself around a corner and headshot a couple goons or whatever. It just doesn't work the same way here, and the levels are too cramped for it anyway. So that was unfortunate. But after adjusting for it, the actual gameplay is pretty. It's fun. The shooting is fun. But I'm going to talk about the level design. It's kind of interesting because it has Max Payne shooting mechanics, but the levels are straight up like Doom.
Really?
Oh.
In third person?
Yeah, like boomer shooter, kind of those, like those mazes that they were. And
Yeah.
how in those games you're looking for key cards to get through areas. In this game, you're either looking for hostages to rescue or you're looking for the still beating heart of an elder god, basically. And those are color coded,
so cool.
much like key cards are. So it's just, but it is that kind of maze-like design, and that's why the shoot dodging doesn't really work, because everything's so cramped. So you'd just be hitting a wall anyway. But I do like the weapons are a lot of fun. You have dual handguns, shotgun. You have this kind of rifle, which at first you think doesn't make sense in this kind of game, but there are more. You fight like biblically accurate angels later on. So all the weapons have some good uses. Is what I'm getting at.
I'm just loving the fact that you're like biblically accurate angels, and there's going to be people out there to be like, that's not what angels look like.
Yeah, it is fun. When you kill your first one, the achievement even says biblically accurate, or it's like it's biblically accurate
awesome.
in this game. Yeah. So yeah, they're just eyeballs with wings, and it's a lot of fun. But unfortunately, there's like 50 levels, and each one feels like the next. There's some different backgrounds. You're fighting through a cemetery or a meatpacking plant, or you're traveling through the void. It calls itself, so it doesn't have. So sometimes you can run through the meatpacking warehouse and end up in, a mansion. Like the levels don't make a lot of sense, but they also none of them are distinct really either. They all just kind of feel like the last one, and I don't think the enemy configurations are ever very interesting. It just kind of feels like there's no like rhyme or reason to what you're fighting, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't feel like any of the combat encounters are considered. It's just like, how many guys can I spawn in this room to fight you? You know what I mean? So it kind of
that's so unfortunate.
So it is, and it leads to like the game's only like 6 or 8 hours long, and it feels repetitive already.
Ooh.
Like halfway through it, and that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But where the game excels, strangely, shockingly, is the storyline.
Wow.
Okay.
I would not have expected it. The actual like plot itself is just you're taking an elevator down 50 floors of hell, basically, to stop your ex-girlfriend's ritual. But the main character, James, he's narrating almost the whole time, and he's commenting on everything. And even when you're fighting animals or you're fighting monsters, he's always commenting on what they are, and the void is pulling from the psyche of both James and Dracula. So there are different enemies that mean something to each of them, and he's always talking about like he's telling you what trauma in their lives led to them appearing in this hellscape, basically, like those enemies. Like when because there are mummies you fight in the game, but it's because when Dracula was first turned, she was trapped in like a pyramid for like 100 years and couldn't escape. So it's just like it leads to her trauma. But the truly astonishing thing is just, James' voice acting is exceptional. He's got this kind of like tired, sad whisper the whole time. Like he doesn't want to have to be killing his ex-girlfriend. He really would prefer not to, because he still loves her. But, he has to save the world, and that is unfortunate. But as the game progresses and you learn what dating the Lord of the Vampires might be like, it is this quite beautiful and poignant story of abuse, as he's coming to terms with how abusive she was to him. And she'll show up every now and again to talk to you, and their conversations feel so casual. Like, they really does feel like exes having to catch up, that kind of awkward, don't know what to talk about sort of thing. It's very well written, and I couldn't believe how harrowing some of the abuse stuff is. Like, her, like, I don't know.
I was not expecting this from the gameplay trailer that I saw, because this looks, and I'm not knocking it because I haven't played it, but it looked like an Xbox game. And I don't mean Xbox 360. I mean like Xbox PS2 era.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of like the characters have very boxy shaped heads. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I was just expecting just a pure gameplay situation and not a in-depth story or shocking story from something that looked like this.
Yeah, there is definitely an adjustment period to a PS2 character faces talking with that level of depth and emotion. And it's kind of like, oh, I see why Remedy used the comic book cutscenes. But once you like give yourself over to it, it's I would say it's kind of a beautiful, painfully sad story. As he's telling all these different stories of basically the hold she has over him, and and it's so sadly realistic about abuse, because she is obviously a monster, but he refuses to see her as one, even though she did all these horrible things to him. Because he was the abusee, so he still sees her as this powerful figure that he was in love with, that defined so much of his life. And it is utterly stunning that this kind of storyline would be in a root and tutor boomer shooter, basically. I'm finding freaking key cards to unlock the blue door, but also the puppeteer enemy is here because he always felt like she was his puppeteer. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Yeah,
interesting. So why is it called El Paso Elsewhere? Because again, I hear El Paso and I just think Western.
Yeah,
but
the title is very misleading.
Wouldn't that be nice? A little bit of Western twang in here. No, it is. I mean, it takes place it's in a motel in El Paso, Texas, where she's conducting the ritual in the Elsewheres, because he gets to the motel's elevator in time for just as she's like finishing the incantations of the ritual and siphoning off the void. So he gets into the motel just in time for him to get transported to the Elsewhere, which is the void.
Gotcha.
And it's just a motel that was important to them and their relationship.
So you're playing this on Xbox?
Yeah, Xbox. It's only on Xbox and PC right now.
Oh wow, okay. Is it a budget title?
Yeah, it's $20 game.
Oh, that's it. Okay, I did not know that. Strange Scaffold is the developer. I've never heard of them.
I never have either. They've put out a bunch of games though, and I think it's and the game's designer and director is also the main voice and writer. So very very Sam Lake in that way,
Right.
And I read an interview with him. It's going to shock you to learn his favorite thing in the world is Max Payne.
Yeah, I'm very, very surprised.
Who would have thought?
Well, thanks for checking that one out, man. It sounds that sounds genuinely interesting.
It does.
I haven't played the boomer shooters in a while. I've skipped the Dooms and everything like that.
Yeah, but this one's so different because it is the Max Payne shooting in it, though. So it is kind of a twist on that game design,
right?
In a small way. But yeah, I recommend it if you're a fan of story. Definitely play it. But you can do what I did, whereas I would just play like 5 or 10 levels a night, because it's otherwise, they all blend together. Yeah, kind of monotonous. Yeah, absolutely. So
how do you regain health?
How do you think?
I mean, I just
eating
Max
hearts.
Payne. You took pills.
Painkillers. Yeah, you take painkillers.
Painkillers.
They actually commented at one point because Dracula is a vampire, and she's like, your blood sounds different. He's like, yeah, it's probably running really thin right now. I'm running on nothing but painkillers.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Oh man, that's so many games I gotta play, man. I actually had a friend of mine text me today and say, because he knows I'm not playing anything much because of my limited time. He's like, "So what games?" He basically wanted to ask me like, "What games should I play?" He's like, "So what games would you recommend that you really want to be playing right now?" Thought that was a really funny way to say that.
Well, you found time for Assassin's Creed, though.
Yeah, and you tried to talk me out of it, if you remember.
I did, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually texted him and said, "I think I'm going to buy Assassin's Creed Mirage," and he's like, "Dude, why? Like, you
Well,
don't
it's just
have
like
time."
you still want to play Sea of Stars. Like, it just felt like a silly thing to spend money on right now.
I didn't have anything else new to play, and I was going to come to the table with, and it was my turn to buy. So,
For
yeah,
CB and your little
yeah.
cute little relationship.
And plus, if I can do that and pay for a $50 game, and then he gets the next one at 70, and it's like,
What are you
hey,
talking about? Getting Gargoyles remastered.
oh, there you go. Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
He gotcha.
And I'm getting a boy in his blob, so then it's back to you.
There we go.
And then I guess I'll buy El Paso elsewhere.
Oh,
The battle of the cheapskates.
the cycle continues. Well, I tell you who is not cheapskates, and that's our people that are over on our social media outlets like Facebook. You can find that on facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We have a new member over there by the name of Jim Headland. Welcome to the community, sir. Glad that you were there. Also, over on Discord, there is a link for that in the show notes if you'd like to join our community over there. Got lots of good conversations. New members, Aftermath, and I don't know, From Self. From Solf. FRMSULF. From Solf. Welcome to the community. Again, thanks for joining. Also, if you get a moment, please drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us get the word out there. And then lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our past episodes and all of our written content, which has been a little absent the last couple weeks just because things have been so busy, but we will be getting back on track on the back half of October and then leading into November and December because Alyssa and I got a we got a goal. We want to hit 100 reviews this year.
We have to see who's gonna, be number one.
I mean, it's clearly going to be you. You're about 4 or 5 reviews ahead of me this time, so. But
I think you'll overtake
see
me.
who's going to take the picture in just the shirt.
yeah, is that what it's going to be? Who's going to be Mr. October in the or Mr. or Ms. October? And I mean, it's clearly going to be me because I'm gonna lose. But yeah. Well, hey, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week's topic was CB's idea. He wanted to talk about lesser-known games that those who have actually played them believe others will want to play. I'm looking forward to hearing about all these other games that I've missed over the years that I can add to my backlog because it's not big enough, apparently. So
it definitely isn't, Scott. You need more.
I mean, just this year alone, I keep hearing the podcast that I listen to talking about like what a great year of games this is and some of the best years or best games of the generation. And I'm like, I haven't played them. I haven't finished them because I've just been so busy. Guys, I want you guys to listen to last week's episode. Alyssa and I had a conversation. My new favorite word is no.
Is backlog?
So when I have...
That's why you told me.
Is backlog?
No.
It's no.
It's
You
no.
just said it. No.
So when people...
No.
Hey, Scott,
Ask
can
me-
you do this favor for me?
No, I can't. I'm going to stay home and play video games. You want to go out for drinks? Nope. I'm going to stay home and get caught up on games. I want to play games tonight. That's going to be my new thing. Because how many times have I said, oh, that's a good one? I wanted to the other night, but I didn't. I showed up. All I wanted to do was go back and play Assassin's Creed.
You heard it here, Kevin.
So yes, how many times have I said this Thanksgiving break or this Christmas break or this spring break, I am not going to do anything. I'm not going to do any projects. I'm going to play some games.
Not going to touch this one with a 10-foot pole. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Because that means you would have to say no to somebody else.
What are you talking about? Oh, the book? I got to record an audiobook. Is that what you're talking about?
No. No, there's somebody else that you live with that you would have to say no to.
Oh. The only other person that I live with.
Yeah.
Besides the 6 cats. But
Yeah,
anyway.
There's enough cats to constitute one person.
just Scott's just like every single one of the cats. No. 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 He gets to the 4th one and the first one just meows back at him. He's like, gotta start over again. No.
All right, so obscure games. I want to talk real briefly before we get into our lists. What makes games obscure? if especially if they're as good as we're going to say they are in a few minutes, why has nobody heard of so many of these games if they're so high quality? Zack?
Me first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of probably because you missed me. I don't know anymore, man. Because I'm so online in gaming communities and stuff. I'm just like, are there any obscure games left? But
There are. I went and did
Yeah.
some searching, and I came across about 150 games I've never heard of before. So
Yeah, no, I'm sure there are. It's just it feels like if they're good, like we were talking before the show, but Rule of Rose is such a perfect example of a game that sold like less than 50,000 copies, but now millions of people have watched it on YouTube.
mm-hmm.
So it can't possibly be obscure anymore. Millions of people have seen it. So I don't. I mean, back in the day, though, it was just as simple as like you didn't get the right coverage, or the magazine didn't talk about you, or your review was a one column instead of a half page. It was so easy to fall into the radar back then, compared to now. But and there were a lot of great games back then that did go unsung at the time, but I feel like so many of them have been discovered.
Right.
But so many haven't. But
I'll give you the fact that they've been discovered, and you say millions of people have watched them, but there's still a large majority of these games have not been actually played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and I understand that, but to me, you can't be obscure if everybody knows about you.
I mean, it's kind of the definition of the word.
I do. I'm not saying I disagree with it. It's just for me. For me, like it involves playing the game. Like I can watch it, but you don't get the same feel.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with that.
So like things like Rule of Rose, like, yes, you can watch it, and I guess Rule of Rose is probably a poor choice.
Well, but no, that's an interesting choice because if you watch it or you just hear about it, it sounds incredible. But if you play it, it's a turd.
Yeah, it's a rough play.
It is a rough thing to play, and you adjust for it, or whatever. But to your point, like, yeah, you don't really understand, how difficult. You don't understand why it wasn't popular at the time unless you play it and you're like, oh, I can see why reviewers were probably like, what the hell is this?
Yes, but Rule of Rose was never about the gameplay. It's about the content of it.
Again, I'm not arguing. I'm agreeing with you.
I know.
Saying, but if you were a magazine and your job is to review things, somewhat objectively,
yeah, it's a rough.
You play Rule of Rose, after playing Resident Evil, 4 or whatever.
Does that happen anymore?
Objectivity or magazines?
Yeah, objectivity.
No, I think reviews have evolved. It's no longer a product review, right? It's more of an art critique.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a good thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Sorry if my tone said otherwise, but no, I think it is a good thing.
Okay.
Trying to fight?
No, not at all.
I understand. I'm agreeing with everybody that everybody's fighting with me. I don't understand what's going on.
I'm not fine with you.
Thank you, Alyssa.
I'm not a fighter.
That I believe.
Wow. Who's up? Alyssa?
My feelings are hurt now.
What?
No, they're not. They're not. I'm joking. Well, it's hard to. I mean, most games are, in today's day and age, known about. I feel like the ones that aren't really talked about or discovered are just ones that don't have a lot of marketing. And plus, there are just so many games that come out now that inevitably some are going to fall through the cracks and get ignored.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it was easier back in the day for games to be obscure than it is now. It's a difficult question. I think mostly if a game's going to be obscure now, it's because just lack of marketing. So many games are out that people are going to pay attention to the bigger titles or the ones that have more publicity or more reviews out than the smaller titles from indie teams that maybe don't have the budget to have the marketing of these other games, and people aren't really talking about them.
I actually agree with you wholeheartedly, Alyssa, and that's kind of my answer. And sorry, CB, for jumping in here, but since my answer kind of piggybacked on hers, I just wanted to jump in. I think just the sheer number of games that are out there is the biggest factor.
Mm-hmm.
Because, sometimes I don't even remember that not everybody else tries to game as much as I do. You know what I mean? Your standard And I'm not talking like I'm talking down to other people that don't enjoy gaming as much as I do, because I welcome anybody and everybody to come play games. You guys all know that. But when you look at a lot of gamers out there that are playing, the Maddens and the Call of Duties, and do not go out and try to seek other games, of course they're not going to be aware of. You know what I mean? But the fact that there is just so much content out there, it's literally impossible for any one person to play everything, because there's just not enough hours in the day. Even if you weren't working a full-time job or taking care of a family, things are bound to slip through the cracks. And I think it's almost an individual person thing for obscurity. I don't even think the word obscure has the same luster that it did back in the day when games were marketed and relied on magazine covers and word of mouth, because it's just whatever I've played. I'm sure that a lot of games on your guys' lists are going to be obscure to you, but to somebody else, they're like, how have you never heard about that game? That was like a staple when I was a kid. It's all about my perspective and looking through it through somebody else's lens. So I feel like the whole word obscure has become skewed because of the internet age, and just more about being, what have I personally experienced, because we can only experience 5% of the games out there. And I even think that's might be generous.
I would say 1%.
Yeah, seriously.
I when I was thinking about obscure, I wasn't thinking about the 100 games that come out on Steam every day,
Right?
Because those are basically invisible. Those are like less than obscure. It is difficult to get the word out on any of those, of course.
Right.
But I was thinking more of, I guess, games from my upbringing era.
Well, I mean, the games that we're talking about, are those going to be the ones that were front facing? You know what I mean? Or I guess we'll have to wait till we actually get to this list. But
right, and there are interesting cases where it's like, how many people know of or care about Advent Rising today? But when it was coming out, it was marketed to hell.
Right, right. But it missed the boat, or wasn't.
Yeah,
it didn't meet expectations of a lot of players, so they just kind of swept it under the rug. Right. And it became obscure, even though it was marketed not as an obscure game.
Exactly. Or did any of you guys remember the game Pariah on the original Xbox?
Yeah.
No.
No.
But it had magazine covers. It was the Halo Killer. It was calling itself.
Oh, wow.
And nobody remembers Pariah.
It was a bold claim.
It sure was. Yeah, and they put that in their own commercials. At least Killzone, everybody called it the Halo Killer, but they never called it that. Pariah really thought that they were like, Halo's old news, guys.
What was it was a
first-person shooter. Yeah.
No good, or
it was fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. It had a cool had a cool level editor, maybe.
Huh. Yeah, that's something I miss about some of those old games. Is like all the level editors that you used to be able to do.
I never touched them.
They were fun.
I loved the Far Cry map editors. I used to spend a lot of time in.
Really?
Yeah.
Be a lot of fun. All right, CB, I stepped in front of you. Why don't you go ahead and...
For me, like I said, when I was piggybacking off Zack, it's something that not a lot of people have touched.
Okay.
Because for me, it's like, yes, you may know the game, but do you really know the game? Because there's a lot of those little nuances. Well, there's those little nuances that you get through playing
the game.
Neo.
But like the little nuances that you get from the game, like, yes, Rule of Rose, it's a disturbing game, and yes, it's got some terrible controls, but was to me was the story good enough for you to keep pushing forward? Right. And old man soapbox, here we go. This is one of the reasons why I've grown to kind of hate the internet, is there are a lot of people that just take things at face value because they're like, oh, I watched a YouTube video on that. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, but you don't really know.
CB's tired of the poses.
It's not so much that, because I don't want to gain that like elitist mentality where it's like, oh, well, you didn't actually do that.
Yeah, but isn't it like the equivalent of reading the cliff notes of a book?
Yeah. Where,
you know what I mean? Like,
you get the highlights.
I think it's more in depth than a cliff notes, but
but like the fact that like people have to like, I miss that exploring of the game. There was the one Easter egg in Arkham Asylum that like took years for people to figure out or find.
All right, yeah. They had the whole map from Arkham City in the original Asylum.
Yeah, but
hidden
now
behind a wall that you had to detonate 15 times for no reason.
Yeah, but now like everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this YouTube video about this game, and I'm going to forcibly point out this thing that not a lot of people know about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, but where was the fun in discovering that?
Mm. Well, discovery has kind of gone by the wayside with the advent of the internet, right?
For sure.
Like I
Yeah.
said,
Oh.
old man soapbox moment.
Well, we talked about
Internet
that.
bad.
I feel like it was a couple weeks ago. We were like, Zach, you and I both were like, yeah, I'll just look it up after if I get stuck for 15 minutes, I'm just gonna look it up.
Oh, I do the
So
same
we're-
thing.
So we were talking about Starfield, where to this day still haven't looked up anything.
It does enhance the game, though.
I'll be scrolling through TikTok and somebody will be talking about Starfield and be like, nope, scroll.
Oh, side tangent. One thing I did not mention about Mirage: are we turning into the era of games where mini maps are just not a thing anymore? We just don't have mini maps.
I'm okay with that.
Do they still put the waypoint or the cursor on the screen?
It's
No,
got
it's
the rotator dial at the top.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
like the Skyrim style thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Okay.
Fallout, but yeah, same kind of.
I feel like that's just a mini map of a different.
Yeah, I feel so
way.
as well.
And they do the nice thing where, like, if you're trying to look for a collectible, they give you an arrow up or an arrow down if it's above or below you,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
which was something that was sorely needed in the French Revolution one. I can't remember which one that was called.
Unity.
Unity. Yeah, that was.
Assassin's Creed, the trash pile.
Oh,
Isn't that
man.
that's the one where the main character bangs his sister,
Whoa.
adopted sister, of course.
Oh,
Well, he's the adopted.
The game where you physically cannot complete certain missions because nobody's playing it online anymore.
Oh yeah.
I remember hitting a game breaking bug so that's what stopped me from playing.
Well, there was those 4-man missions where they were like, oh, it's
remember, yeah.
Unity.
Right? Yeah. I remember the box art had 4 assassins.
And you'd have-
they were really big on that co-op thing.
And then you'd have the one guy that'd be like, I'm going to do my own thing and just fail the
Yeah.
mission every time.
Yeah. Didn't that not work at launch too? Like it
Yeah,
just
it did not.
straight
Oh,
up
yeah.
didn't work. Yeah.
The game didn't work at launch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like the point where they made the DLC, they made that huge expansion free that they were originally going to charge $15 for.
Yeah.
Because it was such a disaster.
Mhm.
I also remember they said you couldn't play as a female because it would cost double the money to animate a female character.
I also remember looking at that game, and then as soon as the map was littered with icons, I felt immediately overwhelmed. Like there's no way.
That one was insane. You would do sink your tower and 60 things would show up.
Seriously,
Yeah, you just watch it.
was-
Ding, 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 ding.
and I
Which
just like,
sucks because I
I'm
thought the
out.
setting and story were good,
yeah, I do too.
but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't hang with it.
Anyway, we're getting back to obscure games. Sorry,
Hey,
that was
welcome to the
my
Assassin's Creed cast.
fault. I know, I love Assassin's Creed, but so what are some games on your guys' list? I'm really interested to hear them that you assume a lot of people have never heard of that are really quite good. It could be recent games, or it could be something from the way past. Boy, we started with Zack last time. Let's go ahead and start with CB this time.
Oh, okay. So you don't miss me now.
His 2 favorite sons.
Okay. So I've got 4.
Oh wow,
I-
I thought I was feeling bad for my list being so short. So good.
Well, again, like Zach said, like I've trimmed a couple off, mostly because I want to talk about some other things that people have brought up.
Okay,
Thousand Arms on PS1.
JRPG, right?
JRPG. Do you know anything about it?
No, isn't there?
No.
You bang.
Isn't there? It's a series, right? I feel like Wild Arms was a game, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind
Wild
of a
Arms.
Western.
Is a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
this
sure
is
Thousand Arms is a different.
definitely not the
Yeah.
same.
Oh, not related at all.
Thousand Arms is a turn-based JRPG with a heavy focus on dating sims, right? Kind of
Yeah,
like Layer.
it is.
Because the only thing I remember about Thousand Arms is sometimes when you would go to bang a girl, like the main character would be like, "So are we gonna
Are we
have
gonna do
sex
this
tonight?" And then the girl would be like, "The game's not rated for that."
Yeah. So yeah,
I remember that being very funny.
it's a steampunk JRPG, and it does focus very heavily on raising your intimacy level to power up your weapons.
Yes.
So
If you want your sword to work better, you got to be close with the lady. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
you're not wrong.
I mean, that's
Um,
always optimal.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny because overall the combat's actually pretty good. But I think this fell into that era of PS1 where there was the more obscure JRPGs that just kind of got tossed to the wayside. Like they weren't as big outside of like small followings.
Well, there was also so many of them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think there's a bit of a problem of, that's one audience, and yet everybody was making a JRPG.
yeah.
Yeah, well, but they also were not Square.
Yes, that doesn't help. But even Square would sometimes step on its own toes, right? Xenogears or Threads of Fate was Square as well, right?
A Vagrant Story.
Yeah, and those are all, you can't put those kind of games on top of each other like that.
Yeah, the PS1 era, Square was just like, look, we can make a ton of these.
Yeah, I remember they had the Summer of JRPG, right, where they put out it was one every month or something like that.
No, I thought it was like 2 because that's
Maybe it
where
was, yeah.
Vagrant Story got stepped on because it released 1 week after like one of the Final Fantasies.
Yeah, like FF8 or Tactics. Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird time.
Yeah, but
I feel like I'd spend the rest of my life just playing JRPGs from the PS1 era, and I would never run out of content.
I think you could probably like spend the next 2 lifetimes
Yeah, seriously.
playing. So Thousand Arms, it's a bit quirky. Combat's fun. It's bizarre. I love it. Rule of Rose. So
Talked about that one, yeah.
yeah, a game that was banned partially in Europe in some areas because of sadomasochism and children.
Right, and
Wow.
decency laws. Well, yeah, and they were also upset at the lesbian undertones. in the
Yes,
game.
it is so like I do agree. Like the controls are utter garbage, but it is such a bizarre look at Japanese like horror at the time that I think a lot of people were like afraid to touch it because it is a survival horror game, and I love Atlas, especially because like Atlas don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, you give us an idea, you pitch us an idea, we're gonna make it.
One of
And-
the main enemies of Persona is a giant penis dragging a cart around.
yeah,
Wait, what?
Yeah,
so Atlas don't care.
Atlas don't care.
So yeah, Rule of Rose, and I feel one of the reasons, again, like you said, that this one never really went anywhere was because A, it didn't sell a ton of copies, and B, now for people to get it, like it is behind a fairly steep paywall.
hmm
Yeah.
I was there when you got your copy.
Oh, yeah.
MGC.
And
Was it just like a deal with another dude? It wasn't even like one of the vendors?
yeah, it was somebody that like I knew who just randomly happened to have a copy on him at the
like
time.
you bought it from him. Like it wasn't even like you went to one of the vendor booths, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and side note, like Rule of Rose, like apparently draws heavily from like the Brothers Grimm.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
It does
cool.
It does kind of have that, macabre, dark fairy tale energy.
Yeah, so it is definitely something very interesting. Like if you took when I was doing some reading about this, and somebody compared it, like if you took the Brothers Grimm and smashed it into Silent Hill.
Hmm.
And they're like,
Pretty apt description.
yeah. Okay, so moving on. Zach, did you ever play Suikoden?
Suikoden, Suikoden as I called it as a kid. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I didn't get into. I would probably like it more now than when I was a kid.
Okay. Because there's a game out there that exists that plays very similar to it, called Lucian's Quest,
Okay, I'm not familiar with this game.
because it only exists on the 3DO.
Okay. There are 108 characters to recruit.
Ooh. I don't know if there's quite that many. I've played it a little bit here and there, but you are trying to find the cure for man's lycanthropy.
Okay.
So
It's kind of cool.
it's like, oh yeah, my friend's a werewolf. I'm trying to save him, and it's widely considered probably one of the best looking games on the 3DO, which is not a tall order. But it's just an RPG that never found an audience because it was on such an obscure system that costs the system itself costs so much
Yeah.
in that time frame, because it was like one of the most expensive ones out there other than the Neo Geo.
So yeah, if you make your console that expensive, of course nobody's going to play the games
Yeah,
on it
I'm-
if it's exclusive to that console.
It's obscure.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe like you can download it online now. I don't know if it's on Steam, but I recommend it because I love the art style for it.
Mhm.
So, and it's an isometric view RPG.
Okay.
So
Like
instead
Final
of
Fantasy Tactics.
kind of, yeah, or like the overworld for Final Fantasy VII and all those, like where
Oh,
it's
okay.
kind of like that angled.
Yeah.
So I like it. It's cool. It's weird. If you haven't figured it out, I like weird things.
You are a weird thing.
I am a weird thing. So then actually, there's one other one I want to bring up real quick. Albert Odyssey. This was my number 4. Another turn-based RPG that was originally made for the Super Nintendo, but for some reason got axed and then ported to Sega Saturn.
Albert Odyssey?
Albert Odyssey
How have I
and the
not heard of
Legend of
this game?
Eldine. So it was made by Sunsoft.
Oh, okay.
So another JRPG. But
I'm shocked by the number of JRPGs on your list of obscure games.
dude, I loved old JRPGs. They were fun.
Yeah.
Because they were something that you could just sink tons of hours in.
All right.
But yeah, it was originally a side story for another game, and I can't remember the other game off the top of my head.
Okay.
But kind of cool, but also very dark start to this. Like you play a character named Pike, whose entire town and parents were slaughtered by harpies.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, so just I feel that a lot of those good, like early JRPGs, just like your character has such like a dark origin story,
Mm-hmm.
or like, oh, I forgot my memory because I'm a clone.
Well, yeah, a lot of them are like, I'm just a young lad that is like trying to.
Just trying to make my way
work-
in the world and
Yeah.
become a hero. No,
Yeah, we don't get
my
it.
entire family was murdered.
Right. Or like you find out something like that like halfway through the game, like with Cloud, right?
Yeah,
Like this crazy thing happened in Nibelheim.
Are you allowed to talk about that?
I'm not being specific.
just a crazy thing happened to him. Like
Yeah.
he wore a dress. You know.
Oh yeah, when are we having steak, man? When you come in,
Oh yeah.
out back.
Do they serve it at the Cabao food truck? Steak?
I would assume there's steak. Are we gonna count that as a steak dinner?
Feels like the only thing we'll have time for.
Considering he's providing us lunch, so
Probably not.
Okay, so
All right.
one last one, because I know Zach's probably played this. I'm pretty sure you've played it at one point in time, Scott. God Hand.
Yeah. Was it still Capcom or was it Clover at the time?
That's Capcom.
okay. Yeah.
That was that
Wow.
like weird transition.
yeah. Shinji Mikami game, right?
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 director moved on to God Hand.
Yeah.
one of our listeners actually put that one on the list. Scott Simon said, "Hilarious and fun to play PS2 game," and he put a picture of God Hand. I don't know what it is. What is the game?
You play a guy whose hand is basically God, and you're going around smashing demons.
The power of God. But it's a very focused, very intense combat system. No room for error in God Hand.
Yeah, you screw up, you die.
But it's got almost like a No More Heroes over the top energy to it.
It is fun
Interesting.
to like. That is one that is fun to watch because I do suck at it.
More fun to
It is-
watch than fun to play.
Well, it's fun to watch high level players play it because you're just like that. Like they'll be doing stuff that is impossible. You're like, there's no way. How do you do that?
Mm.
How did you not get hit?
Yeah.
I gotta look up this gameplay because I'm not understanding.
Oh, dude, that's the problem. There's just so many. From the PS2 era alone, the Damage Control series.
Oh my god! Like Disaster for it?
Yeah,
Oh
see-
my god! Wow.
Yeah, see, I told you, man, I could pull some deep cuts for those.
Yeah. Wow. Those games were cool. I like those games a lot.
Let's
Very
move on
obscure,
and let's hear
too.
what obscure games Alyssa has to talk about.
I don't have that many. One I played on the Switch 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer, was a game called Icy. I don't know if anyone else played that.
No,
Is
I
it is it licensed from the icy delicious blue raspberry drink?
No.
wasn't even
Sadly,
thinking
no. You play as I think she was half android, half human, and the game is just she's super fast, and you start out in the outside world. You go into these labs, and every lab has a different boss. And the bosses are tough, and every boss has a different tactic. And I'm usually terrible at these games, but I love this game, and it was only about 4 to 6 hours long.
Is it IC or IC? I'm not.
I believe it was spelled ICY, but I could be mistaken. I don't remember every detail about it. I just remember I had a lot of fun with it, and no one knew about it.
Okay.
That I ever mentioned it to. But it was a really good time, and again, it was very short. So definitely worth checking out on Switch if that's your kind of game. Like, you want to go up against bosses that each requires a different strategy, and it's just really rewarding when you finally beat the boss after you figure out the pattern and everything of that nature. Pretty much every game I review on the website, I would say, is probably more on the obscure side. Because most of the time I haven't even heard of these games before I review them. I remember one that really impressed me this year, though, is actually based off a book, Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. If you've read the book, the game is probably just going to be, the same thing, I'm assuming, because it's an adaptation, but it's just such an engrossing narrative, and the point-and-click style just really lends it immerses you, and you play as 3 different characters, and even though it's 15 hours, it flew by for me. I still want to read the book because it intrigued me that much. Again, I played that on Switch. I think it's available on pretty much every console now.
By the way, I just looked it up. IC is actually spelled ICEY.
Okay.
On Switch.
That was my bad.
No. It's okay. I just
does
want to
it bother you as a teacher?
No, because I just had never heard of it. I wanted to look it up and see it for myself, and holy crap, this game looks awesome. It's
I really enjoyed it, and I'm not usually a fan of that kind of game, so...
Yeah, it's like a 2D side-scrolling action game where, I don't know, she's got this dash ability where she, teleports through the air, and this looks great.
This does sound weird for Alyssa, though.
Yeah, that's why... Check out that trailer. And it's on sale for $6 right now.
I think it was only a $20 game when it came out, so it was affordable.
Yeah. Wow.
There was a game from my childhood. I don't really know if it was that obscure because I went to a religious school. I had 9 other kids in my class, and none of them knew what the game was. So, I mentioned it last week on the episode. Chocobo Racing.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yep. You played it.
I own it.
That was my jam as a kid. And I don't remember the full roster because as a kid I did not play any Final Fantasy games. I know you could race as a Chocobo, you could race as a Moogle. I don't remember the character names because as a kid I didn't care about the characters. It was just a lot of fun. I always liked to play against my friends, and the tracks didn't really correlate with Final Fantasy to my knowledge. It was just you would race across a rainbow or go through a haunted mansion.
Right.
But it was fun.
Mario Kart with Final Fantasy characters?
I remember the manual inside actually had an advertisement for Chocobo Dungeon, I believe it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted that game so badly, but it was never in my hometown, so I never got to play that game.
You were a Chocobo diehard.
I was just, they were cute to me back then. Now I would probably appreciate it more because I know more about Final Fantasy, but back then I was just like, oh my gosh, the bird and the floaty furry thing are so cute.
I mean, Moogles are adorable.
Yes.
They are. So that was one. Let's see. Did I have another one, or is that just my list? I mean, I would always say Deadly Premonition, but I know a lot of people actually do know about that game. I don't think they've played it.
Yeah, I feel like that one's regained popularity for some reason in the past few years.
Well, it has a sequel now.
Mm-hmm.
A Nintendo-funded sequel.
Yeah, the sequel is not as good. I still enjoyed it, but a lot of people diss the sequel, which I know why.
But he does have a skateboard in the sequel, so that's
yeah, but it makes
rad.
your game drop to 5 frames per second when you're riding the skateboard.
It wouldn't be Deadly Premonition otherwise.
That's true. It adds to the charm, actually.
Yes.
But the first game, magnificent. I love it. I don't care about the janky controls. It's just Twin Peaks as a video game, and I adore it.
Sometimes
I don't even care that you had to pay $40 for a pack of crackers to eat.
Sometimes the janky controls, though, really make the game.
It adds to the charm. And the controls were actually improved in the PS3 Director's Cut, and it was still janky. So I can't imagine playing it on Xbox 360 where they were not improved.
Yeah, I would be devastated if Shenmue controlled smoothly.
Yeah.
Well, like you look at the original Resident Evil 1. Those tank controls are not good. But it's definitely like given that game so much charm over the years.
Yeah, but by the time you get to Resident Evil 2, you were used to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just became common, you know?
Well,
Yeah, Dino
tank
Crisis,
controls
Tomb Raider.
with fixed camera angles.
Right. Fixed camera angles was the bigger thing, so.
Oh.
All right, Zach, what's on your list, man?
Well, first of all, I thought this category is funny because it made me think of how, Nier went from being this obscure spinoff to Drakengard no one cared about to being one of Square Enix's biggest franchises in my lifetime.
Right.
That's so weird to think about. But yeah, as I said, I was kind of struggling with trying to remember what was actually obscure. So the first game I want to talk about is something you guys are all going to know about, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's I Am Alive.
Yeah.
I remember that game, yeah.
PS3 360.
The arcade game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was originally Ubisoft originally announced as this huge AAA open world survival game. I remember the first trailer was people like beating each other to death over a bottle of water. But then it finally came out and they just quietly put it out as a download game that was like, $25 or $30. And I don't know, it's just a cool post-apocalyptic game that was pretty gnarly in its themes. There were cannibal farms and hotels where they keep women, and all kinds of disturbing themes. And I just thought it was great. It was only like a 4 or 5 hour game, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it had a cool stamina, mechanic to when you were climbing stuff. It was just a really cool game.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a great combat system where you could actually scare people and make them give up.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, because you could take out the leader of a group and everyone else would be intimidated. And it was cool because your gun could be empty and they don't know that, but you could still threaten them anyway.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Or if you were in a gunfight and they heard the click, they'd be like, "Oh, he's out," and then they might charge you. It was a pretty cool little system.
Unfortunately, the online servers for that are down. I don't know how many
Alive?
people actually played the game online, but
I don't think there was any multiplayer.
that's what I was just reading. I was looking it up on Steam, and before you can even purchase it, there's a thing that says the online multiplayer services for this title are shut down, but single player features will remain available.
I don't know what the hell you did. in
Couldn't
that
you
game. There's
play it with
multiplayer.
a co-op?
Oh,
I
was
believe-
it?
I think you could control another character,
Oh.
like a different character alongside him if you had a friend online.
You can-
I believe. I could be wrong.
You can still buy it on Xbox.
Yeah, I re-downloaded on PS3 the other day. A few other titles. I have a lot here. Do you guys remember a game Hydrophobia?
I remember the name.
There's another Xbox 360 download game similar to I Am Alive, but it had this cool, you were on this cruise ship because most of the world was ruined. So but it was almost like Snowpiercer, but on the water.
Oh, that sounds
okay.
awesome!
So Waterworld.
Yeah, to describe it. Yeah, well, Waterworld I feel like is a little more post-apocalyptic. It's more dystopian. But you work as an engineer on the lower decks, but then a terrorist group attacks your cruise ship. So throughout the whole game, it's only a few hours long, but the whole ship is sinking the whole time. But your main character has hydrophobia, but obviously in order to survive in this world, had to get on the boat anyway. But then you kind of help her through her hydrophobia and swimming and stuff. It was a pretty cool little game. Do you guys remember Without Warning on PS2 and Xbox? It was
No.
It was a game that came out at $20, so it was pretty budget even back then. But it was just a total 24 knockoff, except it was 12 hours. But you played as all these different characters, and I thought it was really cool because you also played as civilians, or you played as counter-terrorist people. But you would be playing as a civilian, and you get held up at gunpoint, but then the guy gets shot in the head, and you don't know what happened, so you just keep going. But then you play as the other character, and you would be the person who shot that person in the head.
Oh,
and save them.
That's really clever.
So you saw the story from 6 different angles. It was pretty great, and it was super cool because they weren't afraid to kill off characters if they needed to.
Reminds me of that movie Vantage Point. Remember that?
Yes, yeah, I do remember that. Wow. Sorry, yeah, I'll run through a couple more here. Velvet Assassin was a stealth game I really loved on PS3 and 360. It was based on the real life adventures of Violet Szabo, who was I believe one of Britain's first spies during World War II.
That's fascinating.
She was a British-French liaison. The war, she was captured and killed, unfortunately, during the war. But The video game was kind of a fictionalized telling of her escapades, and it was a really great, Nazi kill and stealth simulator. But it let me learn about the real life Father Zabo, which was super cool.
That's cool.
But the game itself is really neat, and I don't think enough people have played it, and it plays around with real history, so it's kind of educational. Last two games, surely somebody here has heard of Shadow of Destiny on PS2?
No.
Mm-mm.
I think I have.
It was a kind of an adventure game, but the game opens with you getting stabbed to death shortly afterwards. But then you get sent back in time, and now your goal is to prevent your own death. But no matter how many times this guy prevents his own death, the killer basically just finds other ways. No matter what, he keeps dying, essentially. But it was pretty neat because you would do things like, you got stabbed in the side, right? So he took this metal tray from a restaurant to try to deflect the knife, and that let him live a little longer into the night and stuff. But what would eventually happen was you would go further and further back into time, and then eventually he got sent back 80 years in time.
Oh wow!
And now you're seeing like old people in town when they were young, or you're seeing people's dads and stuff, and it all leads back to this cool kind of alchemical ritual that went wrong and kind of displaced time in a certain way. But it was a super cool, very clever game.
That sounds awesome. I've never heard of this.
It was awesome.
It's actually got really good reviews too.
Yeah, I just afraid I don't feel like a lot of people played it. I think they did a PSP port weirdly 8 years later. But it was weird because it was a game no one played in the first place. So I feel like less people probably played the PSP version.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, yeah, it's a really cool game, and I think it sucks that it got lost to time. Yeah, I think people do well to check that one out. And then the last game, because it's shocking that it is good. Have you guys heard of Darkened Sky?
Yes.
On the Nintendo GameCube. Okay, so you'll know what I'm talking about. But what is great about this game is it is this dark fantasy kind of RPG, a little more somewhat Zelda-esque. And you're going around this dark fantasy land. It's pretty dangerous, but you need to find these magical gemstones to restore light to the world. But when you find your first one, unbeknownst to me, you're finding Skittles.
Wait, what?
Yep, they're giant, oversized Skittles because it was an officially licensed Skittles video game.
No way.
Called Darkened Sky, and you need to restore the rainbow back to the world.
I'm looking at gameplay of it right now. There's literally an icon in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen that has a Skittle with an S on it, and a meter that goes around it.
Yeah, Skittles power your magic, as they do my own life. Without Skittles, I would have no magic. But it is amazing because the actual if you're looking at the art right now, Scott, it looks kind of like a dark fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
But you just happen to be powered by Skittles and saving the world through the magic of Skittles.
But it's an actually good game?
Because an actually good game, dude.
If you want to, I do own a copy of it, Scott.
I mean, we could do that for
I will put it up
outsider.
at R2V2 if people want to play.
There you go.
You know what? We should do an episode on ones licensed by products like this and the
Spot.
the Burger King games, the Spot.
Oh yes.
Was
this
there
one was
games
cool
on
because
Chex Mix?
I rented this game from Hollywood Video or Family Video or whatever. I had no idea it was a Skittles
you would have not
game.
known.
There was no way to. It was crazy.
I mean, it looks like a decent game for its time.
It is a good game, as I recall. I just remember getting to the Skittle and going, "What the hell?"
I mean, so the game doesn't start with the Skittle. You eventually have to work your way up to getting Skittles.
Right? Yeah, you need to find the magical gemstones to return the world, and then you discover they're Skittles.
That's really funny, man.
It's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah,
God,
I
wish you hadn't had said anything about it because you can imagine Scott playing this for the first time for a break the seal. It's
oh yeah,
is that a Skittle?
That'd be amazing.
No, the S is for Scott. It knows me.
There you go. I do own a GameCube copy of it. If you really do want me to bring it.
Well, like I said, Chris has one.
I have one.
Okay. Oh, okay. My mistake.
Okay, well, I'm going to run through my list quick. Most of mine are older games, but I feel like we talked so much about Shadows of the Damned and Singularity, which I don't even know if those are considered obscure, but they're just lesser known, I don't know, double A titles, I guess, from the day.
Yeah.
that I think people should play. I will say that one more recent one, Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, is
Hell yeah.
a game
Hell
that
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like nobody has played because Call of Juarez got such a bad rap with some of its other games in the series that were not good. But Bound in Blood, and I knew I was going to tickle Zack's fancy a little bit with this one because Western games, but legitimately fun game. Like the way they told the story, I think the narrator is there's a narrator that's like kind of like doing the Bastion thing and kind of like just saying everything that's happening as it goes, which was cool. I remember the gunplay being a lot of fun. It was just a arcade game or like a downloadable game. I don't even think you could buy a physical copy of it if I remember correctly. But
You could for Bound in Blood, yeah.
could you? Okay.
Gunslinger was downloadable.
Oh, is Gunslinger the one? Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Is Gunslinger
Yes,
the
that
one?
is the one you're thinking of. Yeah, with
Yeah.
a narrator.
Yes.
Yeah, and how he'll be like, he'll talk about,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
So my
Bound in
apologies.
Blood was also great. And it was these two brothers, kind of in the Old West,
Oh, okay.
doing crimes or whatever. But
My apologies. I had the wrong game. I love pinball, and digital pinball outside of Pinball FX is usually not great, but there were a couple I played back in the day. Mario Pinball Land on Game Boy Advance or Game Boy, I can't remember which one it was genuinely good. Metroid Pinball was shockingly good.
really,
That game was.
I mean, I guess she is a pinball sometimes.
Right. That's what it is for the majority of that game. I believe that was a DS game, either 3DS or regular DS. I think it was regular DS, but outside of that, most games based on movies are schlock, and I had a ton of fun with Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo, which was also on Genesis, I believe. It is
When was the last time you
hard-
played that game?
It is a hard game, but it was really, really good. Like if you were methodical in that game, you could actually make progress and methodical and patient. And I really remember liking that game a lot.
And remembering where it spawns from.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, well, there's this manhole. I know if I move just past, like, advance the screen just enough past,
Uh-huh.
it'll appear on the screen. So, like, you
Cheesing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then I had two more. These are from the NES era. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this game, but there's a game on Nintendo called North and South. Maybe I've talked about it in the past.
Made me play it.
You didn't like it?
It's poo.
Dude, shut up. You shut your mouth. North and South is a Civil War game where it's 2-player game. One person plays as the Union and one plays as the Southern states. It is a genuinely clever game where you're more or less trying to cover the map of the United States. You're trying to make all the states either Union or Southern states. And it starts out as where it's just a map. Like you're just trying to overtake this. But if you both are trying to compete for this one state, it turns into a mini game. And one of them is like one side versus one side. And each side has a cavalry, it has a cannon, and it has infantry.
Rock, paper, scissors.
And it's just like you can only control one at a time. So I might take my cavalry across and try to do this bridge, while you as the cannon on the other side might try to take the cannon and blow up the bridge. Or it's just so much fun. And then whoever wins the battle wins that state. And then there's an even better one where it is like if you come across these forts on the map, then it becomes a 2D side-scrolling game where one guy is trying to work his way to get basically capture the flag. And the enemy has so many lives. I'm saying that in air quotes because he's got so many soldiers, he's trying to stop him. So it's one soldier is trying to progress the game from left to right, and then the enemy is trying to kill him as many times as possible before the time runs out. So the aggressor has unlimited lives, and the defender has limited amount of lives, but he's just trying to thwart his progress to slow him down to keep him from reaching the flag. It's like there's so many moving parts in this game for an 8-bit NES game, and it is an absolute blast.
I want them to re-release this game, man.
I know.
Sounds awesome.
Like I'm gonna. You know what? Let's bring a copy to R2V2.
I will bring
CV.
a copy.
You're gonna bring 1,000 games R2V2.
Seriously, I want to play this game with Zack because I want to show you how cool this game actually is. And then my last one is one that I feel like I've never met anybody else that played this game, but the Lone Ranger on the original NES is legitimately a great game. Dude, shut
You've
your
made
mouth.
me play it as well.
Just because you sucked at it did not mean it was a bad game. This was a game that starts out as like almost like a not JRPG, but an RPG where there's an overworld map, and you play the Lone Ranger going to do all these missions for people, and it will turn from there's isometric view combat where you're fighting cowboys, in an isometric view. Then it will go to other stages where it's like just a straight up 2D side-scrolling platformer with shooting mechanics and bosses. And then it will go into a first-person, work your way through the maze, and then you come across enemies and you have to look cursor on the screen, and now it's like a little shoot 'em up. But you can also use the zapper gun from the NES, and so you can actually shoot the screen and shoot the enemies that way. Fantastic game.
I think it was just too ambitious for what the NES was trying to do.
Possibly. I mean, it's not easy. It's a tough game. You really have to work your way through meticulously. Do get your passwords and come back and pick it up where you left off. You're not going to sit in one sitting. It's tough. It's a hard game, but it's very doable. And Zach, you like westerns, so I feel like you have to own this game at some point.
Yeah, I will. I will absolutely own this game. So I'm gonna own every western. That's my promise to myself.
I would guarantee you could find a copy of The Lone Ranger at RTV2. So you're gonna come.
It's not expensive.
It's not an expensive game. So, but that's my list. I thought those are some obscure games that everybody should play. But let's go and see what the community said. Starting over on Facebook, Kevin Honigford said, "Does this count?" And he showed a copy of the game called Obscure, which was on console and PC.
It is, to own it is fairly obscure.
Yeah.
But side note, it's an early performance of Tara Platt.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And you have a look in your face like it's not a good performance.
She's just when you look her up on IMDb, it's like additional voices.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
What about what's more obscure than obscure? Obscure the Aftermath.
The sequel that the game that nobody played.
Mm-hmm. Although I'm seeing on the box art that Kevin shared here that Sum 41 is in the game. So
wait, seriously?
Yeah,
they have
music by Sum 41, and it looks like Span.
Span?
Yeah,
I don't
Span.
know I don't know what the hell that is.
I've never heard of Span. I'm gonna have to go look them up after we're done.
They were worthy of box art back in the day.
Yeah.
I think it was a $20 game when it came out too, like on a budget game.
Wow. I mean, Sum 41 was pretty big back in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's just like when Mission Impossible 2 came out, they're like the title track, "The Goodyear Pimps."
Hey, they're from Rockford.
Yeah, but they can't use that name anymore.
Yeah. Did they go back to just?
It's just Pimps.
Yeah. All right, CB, you're up.
Gary McCullough, The Bouncer, a great game. Always wanted more. This game was actually really good. My brother played the crap out of it, but I'm like, it's got like changed the hair color of Cloud.
No, it looks like Cloud and what's his name from Final Fantasy VIII? Squall mashed together in one character.
Yeah, but it was kind of a beat 'em up.
The Bouncer is interesting to me because in my friend group when this game came out, it was the talk of the town.
Oh, really?
I would have thought this was a bestseller up until this moment.
My brother bought it, and we didn't know anybody else who played that game.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, everyone I knew had this game.
Yeah,
see, that's what I'm talking about. It's all
there
about
must have been something
perspective.
in the South Beloit. I think I was living in an area. Something about South Beloit, Illinois. Everybody loved the Bouncer up there. So weird.
All right, Zack.
Didn't they have a demo for some kind of?
It was in
Square Enix game. Was it an FF10 demo?
It was FF. Yeah, it was FF10.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
That's why everybody knew about it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was the total Metal Gear Solid demo thing. Sean Coates writes in Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds on PC. The short version, it's basically Star Wars Age of Empires. Like literally, it was developed by the same ensemble studio. Uses the same engine as Age of Empires 2. Plays exactly the same, has the same logic. Only difference is instead of playing Romans versus Greeks, you're playing as Rebels versus Empire. It's perfect for any real-time strategy fan. Yeah, there was also a Clone Wars expansion pack or sequel, I remember. Both those were awesome.
I've never heard of this, and I've kind of shied away from strategy games, but Age of Empires worked for me. I loved the Age of Empires games on PC back in the day, so
I'm surprised that Spire hasn't ported these Galactic Battleground games to Switch yet.
I actually think the Galactic Battlegrounds games would do really, really well in the modern age.
I think so. What was the Empire at War? That one was great too. That had a lot of space battles. I remember.
A lot
RTS.
of the OG TIE Fighter, I think.
Yeah, pretty much any Star Wars game, right before Disney was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, man.
Kind of a pretty good track record.
Rebel Assault 2.
Yeah.
Bring them all back.
And Rebel Assault games were so much fun. I bet you they look like poop now, but
Oh,
back
they
in the
do.
day.
Who cares? They're great.
All right, Alyssa, moving on over to Discord.
Kevin Honeyford writes, "This might not really be considered obscure, but I don't remember it being talked about much, but one of the best racing games I've ever played," and he posted a picture of Excitebot's Trick Racing, and also posted a picture of Marvel Land.
Which is the game he's having me play for trade-off. I've got it, but I have not played it yet.
Marvel Land I had never really heard of. Excitebots, to me, it was always one of those Wii games that like shovelware.
I was gonna say it looks like shovelware.
But $1.99 in the used bin.
Is it not in the Excite Bike family alongside Excite Trucks?
It
I didn't know
is.
Excite Trucks was in the same family.
I don't know if
It
it
was-
is or not.
Well, it's Wii. Like they would pick a name and just make a bunch of titles with a
I just
similar
can't remember
name.
if it was Nintendo sponsored or not, because you look at the box art that he posted, it only has the Nintendo logo. There's no other company logo.
Because a lot of the Wii games, it was on the back.
Okay.
That's
I
not
guess that makes
Ubisoft's
sense.
logo?
No, that's some kind of, you can use a steering wheel
Oh, okay.
logo.
I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
when I didn't have it
Wii-
zoomed in, I kind of looked at the Ubisoft logo. Okay.
Yeah. God, Ubisoft used to be cool.
All right, on Discord still, Jackie-san says, "My vote goes to Metropolis Street Racer for the Dreamcast. Bizarre Creations made this, ahead of its time racer, real cities, San Francisco, London, Tokyo, played on a real time clock. It was a 5 p.m. in your time zone, like mine in, say, California, it was 5 p.m. in San Francisco. Weather changes, the radio, you could listen to music as a CD player, or better, as a radio station with DJs from each city. And we all know radio waves don't work well with tunnels, so it would go static as you went through a long tunnel. It used the triggers for gas and brake, gave you style points for clean races or nice drifts, licensed cars, a good mix of sim and arcade racing, but no one played it. Bizarre would then go on to make the amazing Project Gotham racing series. If you played those, you know what MSR feels like." Interesting.
Metropolis and Gotham, huh?
Yeah.
I see what they did there.
I do too.
I would not have made that connection. I'm glad you're here, man. I would not have.
No, Metropolis Street Racer was cool. Anytime a game pays attention to those little details like that, it really just goes a long way. Like the radio wave in the tunnels thing.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
'Cause that's what would happen in real life. You wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Can
know?
you imagine if Dreamcast had taken off instead of the Project Gotham series? It may have just been the Metropolis Street Racer series.
On an Xbox.
Could have been.
Was it Kudos, right? Is that what they called the style points in that game?
Yeah.
Kudos.
I never played it. And going on with the theme of racing games, CB.
Mark Szymanski, Xbox 360 split second.
Yeah.
So much fun doing a racing game with traps, fast paced and challenging. Sega CD double switch. Thank you, Mark. This makes my heart happy. Sure, it was one of the FMV games, full motion video games, but this one had a pretty stellar cast considering it was a game in the 90s. Great and silly story with fun plot twists. Genesis, General Chaos. God, have you ever seen the box art for General Chaos, by the way?
Yes.
Dude, it looks ridiculous, and I love it. A mix of strategy and comedy. Plan your 4-character attack against the opponent's 4 players and see if you can win the battle. See, I'd be more interested in playing this again rather than Lemon Escape.
Wow, okay. What an unnecessary shot.
I'm not doing the game any justice with my description. I highly recommend looking up a gameplay video. Also, everybody should play Viewfinder, man. That was a great game, currently in my top 10 of 2023.
It is worth a look at. I will agree. It's something special in terms of what it's able to accomplish.
And everyone should play Split Second.
Seriously, that game's great.
It's freaking awesome.
Even just
Published
like
by Disney Interactive.
just the first level alone, there's like a plane that just like collapses like on the track and it completely changes the track.
We didn't. The world didn't deserve Split Second.
I
We
agree.
didn't treat it right.
All right, Zach.
Edwin Smith writes in, Geist. I absolutely adore this GameCube game. I keep my GameCube out on my desk next to my PC, and every year or two I will boot it up and play it again. I remember back when I first got it, I bought it purely on its cover art at Walmart because I thought it looked cool and I was curious on a Nintendo exclusive M-rated game. Never did I expect it to be an FPS with a dark story concept and some simple puzzles to get to certain areas. Again, I absolutely adore this game. Yeah, dude, I remember in Geist you could possess a dog, and that's pretty cool.
I think there's a lot of games on the GameCube that kind of got overlooked.
Yeah, I think so. It just wasn't a popular console at the time. Now it's beloved. Now everybody says they own
Everybody
a GameCube.
called it like Nintendo's lunchbox back in the day.
I remember, yeah.
Big old
It's
purple
just,
lunchbox.
I love the GameCube. I played it so much.
Of course, yeah, it was great.
I never played Geist. That was one that I always saw on the shelf, and I never got around to playing. So, I'll have to take his word for it. But one day I'll get back to it. And our last comment, Alyssa.
Paul Hine writes, Way of the Samurai for the PS2. This game had zero explanation and an awful save mechanic. You had to talk your way out of most fights, or if you fought, you ran the risk of breaking your sword, which would screw you over as much as you think it would. The story was super interesting as it is set in Meiji, Japan, probably the truest steampunk time if there was ever one. Absolutely frustrating, but utterly memorable. Give this one a go if you come across it.
Never played that one, but it's going to be really hard to find a game, that beats Ghost of Tsushima. I know that's not fair.
Right, it's also not with Samurai. Samurai is, it's almost like an interactive story, like a choose-your-own-adventure kind of story. There's a lot of different paths and endings. I've never played one myself, but I have been constantly fascinated with them, mostly because of this attention to authenticity, like breaking your sword and stuff, but also that, like, if you're not in the right place at the right time, you just never meet the princess. So your story never involves her. But yeah, you're right. I feel bad for that Assassin's Creed feudal Japan game having to exist in a world where Ghost of Tsushima exists.
Yeah, right? Well, CB, thank you for the topic. That was a lot of fun. I feel like my backlog is just getting worse and worse and worse, but hey, it is what it is. Next week, we will be recording. I guess we haven't really discussed. Are we going to record like in person next week since you're going to be in town, Zach?
I don't know. It's tough because it's also where all of my family lives,
Right.
So it's a lot of balance. It's a big balancing act while I'm in town.
So we'll have to kind of play it by ear. But regardless, we're going to be talking about video game conventions because, we're going to be coming off of our own video game convention. So we want to hear everybody's experiences about going to different places to either pick up games or meet famous people and hear from you guys. And we'll talk about some of our experiences as well. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. I would like to remind you that the episode is produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Yeah, I saw Saw 10. I was going to talk about this last week. I love Saw dearly. It's my favorite horror franchise.
Yeah.
And this movie was great.
Awesome.
Very,
really
very.
was.
I've been hearing good things.
I was quite surprised because, Jigsaw was terrible and Spiral was something very different. So it was nice to see this is somewhat of a return to form. It takes place in between Saws 1 and 2, but I just really love the game in this one. It's very personal for John Kramer, so he's like actually in the room talking to the players, and they each have their individual traps, but he like makes everybody watch each other. It's kind of twisted. It's pretty cool. But what I really liked about this movie, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it, is that for the first like 40 minutes, it's really a character drama. They give you an opening trap because otherwise my bloodlust would not have been satisfied otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, we need that opening trap.
Yes, you do. But then it really was just kind of like a John Kramer story for quite a while. Actually, you get to because this is the first time he's really the protagonist. He's the character you're following through the story.
Right.
So it really does bring a different flavor to it. I think it is really original, great twist at the end, which, is essential to a Saw movie. So it was nice. It was also really nice to see a legacy sequel like this, where even though because Amanda's in the trailers, and even though she's obviously and John Kramer as well, but even though they're obviously 20 years older, it's just not remarked on, or there's no. It is so much less distracting to just be like, oh, whoa, they got old, and then you just roll with it,
Right.
It's a lot less distracting than a weird computer face trying to make them look younger the whole time.
I agree.
It is so much better, and I wish bigger budget properties would take this lesson, but they won't.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually started rewatching those yesterday because I knew this one was coming out, and I've not seen all of them. I think I stopped around 4 or 5.
Two's the best.
Out of your mind.
Shut up. 2 is amazing.
No, it's great. They're all great.
Yeah,
I've seen them all.
2 the most, though.
I've seen them all like 10 times.
The twist in 2 is pretty good.
It's
very good. The first time you watch it.
It is, yeah.
The first movie is exquisite.
The first movie
the first
is
my favorite.
Was so much fun the first time I watched it.
Okay, I'll give you that. But to me, the first one is like, okay, here's the benchmark. Can the rest of them reach that?
Right.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
2 to me is the only one that came close.
Yeah, I think the first 4 are all amazing, personally.
Yeah.
And then it dips a little in 5, and it slowly climbs back up for the finale. I like Saw 7 a lot, even though I know a lot of Saw fans don't, but they're wrong.
Did you know that Aaron got to interview Darren Lynn Bousman, the director?
I listened.
Yeah.
I listened to that. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting talking to him about that, or hearing that conversation anyway.
Well, he did that movie about the Devil's Carnival that I watched exclusively because he directed some Saw movies.
Yeah. All right, Alyssa, how about you?
I watched a movie on Netflix, which it's a 6-year-old movie. Never heard of it before, but it was really, really good. I can't say too much about it because that's the whole point of the movie would be revealed. But it is a Korean movie. Of
Surprising.
course.
Yeah.
But it's about this family, mom, dad, and 2 kids that are about college age, move into a new house, but then weird, creepy stuff starts happening in the house, and that's all I can say. It's just, is what they're seeing reality? Is it not? What's really going on? I could not predict what was going to happen, and I usually can with films. And it actually made me emotional. Really good movie. Just flew under the radar for 6 years.
What movie?
What was the name? What was the name of it again?
Forgotten. Appropriately enough.
Okay.
That's kind of funny.
But yeah, I'd recommend it. If you're into mystery thrillers, definitely check it out.
Nice. CB, how about you?
Two quick things. I finally saw Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love the villain.
Right?
I can't wait.
I love the path they took because I'm like, this is believable. So,
I also
I'm
love
intrigued.
that the movie feels final, but also ends on a cliffhanger.
Yes,
because it's obviously a part 1. I just thought the way I felt satisfied. Like, it had a good cliffhanger, but I still felt like I was not left needing more right now.
It doesn't just stop like Across the Spider-Verse does.
Yes.
Yeah, I will definitely say it definitely feels like they're bringing the Mission Impossible series to a close.
Well, I mean, he's 60 years old now.
Still doing it though.
I know.
But I feel like the overall, like, they can't pass it off.
Right.
I feel like they're bringing it to a close. Like, this is actually going to be the end.
I don't know if they could continue without Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. Like,
not only that, but I think with the villain and the arc that they're using, I don't think you could ever really go over the top.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch that again before the second one comes out because that was a lot of fun. That was I love that that series too.
Secondly, I finished Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Shut up. There are many parts that I absolutely love and adore about this. Seeing a live action version of a character from Clone Wars and Rebels that I love to death, I actually shed a tear.
Wow.
So, and it's not Ahsoka. So,
no, I assume it's someone bluer.
Yeah. Blue and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many? Okay. You guys are like trying to dance around spoilers and like you
Thrawn.
don't get.
No, not just Thrawn. There's another character who's on the good side.
Right, Ezra.
No.
They were lost together, right? I mean, yeah. Anyway.
It's literally a like 15-second cameo, and I'm like, the feels.
Oh,
We'll talk off air.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away.
But,
I think I know. I haven't seen the show for the record, so
Overall, could it have been better? Yes. But I still think Rosario Dawson was the improper choice for casting.
correct. She is poor in the role.
Yes, they should have just stuck with the OG.
The actual voice actor?
Yes.
Probably. If Thrawn's voice actor could pull it off, why couldn't
Yes.
Ashley Eckstein try?
Thrawn. Thrawn feels like Thrawn. It is great. That is the best part of this entire show, and I really hope they're setting up to do a Heir to the Empire.
How much art does he stare at? Guess
His Star Destroyer is literally art.
okay. Oh no, I remember his first book. He just spends most of it looking at art.
Yeah, in Outbound Flight.
Yeah, Well, that was a prequel later, and I'm talking about Heir to the Empire.
Yeah,
I was talking to CB about this today. Like he was trying to get me to watch it, and I'm like, dude, I haven't watched Rebels, so I feel like I should just start there instead of trying to like watch that, and because then all this stuff is not gonna like make any sense to me.
I assume it would mean a lot less. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
There's definitely some plot points that I feel that you have to be at least watch Rebels to really get a feel for it.
but I feel like I can't. I'm at the same thing. If I haven't watched Clone Wars, I'm gonna be lost with Rebels.
No, that is not
No?
the case.
No.
Yeah, you can just watch Rebels.
Okay.
Rebels stands on its own. Clone Wars is
will-
good, but Rebels is
Yeah, I
better.
think Clone Wars is a better show,
Ooh, I might fight you on that one.
but Rebels does not need Clone Wars to understand.
All right, my quick one. I discovered that a favorite band of mine from the '90s released a new album last
Is
year.
it Span?
It's not Span. I was obsessed with Collective Soul when I was a kid, and they have a new album called Vibrating that came out last year, and it is shockingly good. If you like Collective Soul, it feels very much like Collective Soul, and because the lead singer's voice is so distinct and familiar to me, I feel like I'm listening to an album that I've heard before, even though it's all brand new music to me. So I'm really digging it. The first track in particular is quite good. It's called Cut the Cord, and it's kind of rocking. The rest of it's a little bit more mellow, but yeah, Collective Soul has a new album. Who knew? So that is my take. Anyway, it's been an awesome time getting together with you guys. CB, thanks for being here. Zach, thanks for being here. Alyssa, thanks for being here as always. And remember, everybody, we are the Gaming Outsider, and there's no such thing as a bad game. Just games that aren't for you.